Get it on the jet sweep to the short side. Up the sideline. Sam McCaffrey. He is gone.
Intercepted. It is intercepted by the Tigers. Stephen Brogan picks it off for LC.
Welcome to the Black Swamp Football Podcast presented by the Gherkin Companies. Along with Tory, Strock, I'm Lynn, Groll, and our special guest this week, Jerry Snodgrass, good friend of ours. Jerry, thank you for making the trip up. We're looking forward to having you with us this week, my friend.
Thanks for having me on. Good to see you guys again. And as I mentioned before we went on, what a great job you guys do. Your guys are so in-depth at what you do, and it's very professional. Love listening to it.
Well, we appreciate that.
I won't
Thank
probably
you very
listen
much.
to this one because I don't want to hear myself.
Thank you, Jerry.
Well,
Very
if you outpick us, you probably will.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
Because we're going to make you pick this week,
Yep.
and this isn't the minor leagues, Jerry.
I know that.
This is the big time.
Yep.
So
I'm
hopefully you're prepared.
I'm in.
Awesome.
No notes? He has
No
no notes. This man is all up here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You've seen some WBL teams this year, right, Jerry?
Yeah,
Take
each
us
week.
through what you've seen here the first month of the season.
Each week I've covered WBL games, I say south of here, but not really so many surprises, but I love that conference too. I love that league. You know, it's all towns about the same, and you know, Salina's kind of back up again, you know. I mean, they're not world beaters yet, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but they've had a rise up. Wapak is really the team to beat in that conference, but really some good teams, some good games. Yeah, I had my first, in week 2, I had Elida, and they played Van Wert. And I loved it because their QB, and I'm sorry I don't remember his name, but their QB, I think he's 6'6", 245, and you know how rosters list their offensive position and defensive. QB, DL. And he plays on the defensive line. You know, doesn't start on it, but they use him now and then. So, but there's some good talent in that league, and I'm looking forward to have St. Mary's and Wapakoneta this week. So, be good to see them.
Yeah. We saw Walpuck week 1 against Clay. Boy, they're the real deal.
Yeah, I've had them each of the last couple of years, and I've watched, you know, the Moyer kid, you know, just evolve, you know, each and every week.
Almost complete 90% of his passes this year. I think he's at 89%.
Wow.
Which is incredible.
Yeah,
and he
it
hasn't
is.
thrown any interceptions again.
Right.
He
Yeah.
never throws interceptions.
Right.
Was that T.J. Ramey from Patrick Henry
did that,
played
yeah,
quarterback
yeah.
and then played like nose guard or something?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
The Pratt that played for Van Wert the year they won state, he played on the defensive line
Yeah.
Wow.
too, if you remember that.
Yeah.
Connor.
Yeah.
Was it Connor Pratt?
Wow. You know, I see, and that's one of the things too, though. I see a lot of those teams, you know, I know numbers are a big deal, but I see a lot of kids today going both ways.
Yeah.
At least in the WBL, I've seen a lot of that. And, you know, I kind of wondered, you know, where that would cost them a team in the fourth quarter. But I really didn't see that. And I think part of that is, practice begins now in February or something like that, you know. And I think, you know, one of two things, you know, they're either in, and they should be in good shape because of that, but two, how is it at the end of the season? That's what would concern me a little bit.
We made a promise on Saturday that we got to upkeep here on this show, Tory. And I also want to make our audience and people that listen and watch our show aware. I made the claim a couple weeks ago that you like to talk to people. Well, that came to fruition again on Saturday morning here as we were completing Rise and Rewind here at American Freedom Energy and at Grandma's General Store. And Tory comes walking back in. He says, "You won't believe who I have outside here. You got to meet this guy." Well, it was Jaden Bell, one of the top recruits in the 2028 class that Tory somehow ran into as he was making his way out of here. But take us from there, because
What a great story.
we know that you like to talk to people, and this just is backing up my claim.
So, so I see some folks in here wearing some Purdue clothing, and I just said, are you heading to West Lafayette? Or are you heading to Purdue? They played USC Saturday, and father said, yes, we are. My son has a visit. And I thought, okay, you know, he got some mass text message, you know, like 5,000 other kids do. And I said, he said, Jaden Bell, he's a 5-star. I go, whoa, now he had my attention. And Alabama has reached out, and I'm going, wait a minute here, you know. So I said, good luck, you know. I popped back in here. I said, hey, Lynn. I said, Jaden Bell, Birmingham brother Rice. I said, look him up. I said, this can't all be real. And so Lynn looked him up. He said, whoa, yeah. He is top 20 in the country, class of 2028.
Yep.
And I go, oh, my goodness. Classy family. So I'm going back out to my car, and I see Dad over there still pumping gas. And so I hollered at him. I said, sir, I said, you were telling the truth. We looked your son up. Wow. And he goes, you want to meet him? He's in the car. I said, I would love to meet him. So I walk over, and Jaden, he had some stitches in his knee. They had played Toledo Central Catholic the night before. And so he's 6'5", you know, and so he's sitting in the back of like a Honda Accord, and he's sitting like, you know, this way, stretching his legs out. And, you know, Dad opened the door, and you could tell the kid's like, oh, man. So he gets out of the car and introduces me. We get a picture taken. Classy young man. Yes, sir. No, sir. Please, thank you. And so I said, hey, I couldn't let it go, you know. And I said, I want you to come in here and meet my partner. We do, and I was explaining Black Swamp football and that. And so I brought him back to meet Lynn, and his father came back, and we sent him on their way with a couple of Gatorades, and so just first class people, Mom and Dad and Jaden. He's a good looking kid, man. Nice frame. And the only thing we screwed up, Lynn, we didn't get a picture with him with our banner in the background.
We should have done that. You got a picture with him, and that's all that matters.
I did, and who knows where he's going to end up, you know. So that was cool. And one of the points to be made here is Grandma's General Store, American Freedom Energy is the place to be.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we got celebrities walking in, 5 stars now. Guys that could be in the NFL someday are coming here, and there's a reason for it. So,
yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I did a little more research on Jaden. Ranked 19th in the class of 2028, number 3 edge rusher. Also plays tight end. High jumped 5'8" as a freshman. 17 feet, 11 and a half inches long jump, and he ran a 12.59 100 meters as a freshman. Has offers from Alabama, Michigan State, Purdue, Vanderbilt, BG, Central Michigan, Kent, Miami of Ohio, Toledo, and UMass.
Wow. That's a pretty good resume.
It is.
Yeah.
And I told him, I said, I want to see you in the maize and blue someday. And you should have heard his dad laugh. He says, I didn't think I was going to hear that in Ohio.
That's right. That's right. That was
what a good kid, and his parents were fantastic. Thank you, Bells, for stopping in here on Saturday. It was great to meet you, and we wish you great success on your journey, wherever you end up.
Yeah, and a buddy of Jaden's played, they were visiting Purdue, but a good friend of his, I'm going to assume someone he played with in high school, but a buddy of his plays for USC. And so he was going to get to visit Purdue and see his buddy play for the Trojans. So,
well, if I'm not mistaken, they're in the same conference, aren't they?
Now they are. Yeah.
And Central Catholic beat them. So, I mean, you're talking about, 5-star athletes in a conference that, you can almost see why those schools in Ohio, they're not struggling against them.
Right.
But at the same time, a loss here and there they're playing some darn good talent.
Darn right.
Yeah. Yeah, and they had a tough week, lost one of their legendary coaches last week, right, Coach Strock?
Yes, Al Fracassa, legendary coach at Birmingham, brother Rice. And, they laid him to rest last week, and I was talking to the father about that, So, kid's got a great pedigree.
Yeah, there's some great football folks that stop in here. A year ago, it was the St. Ignatius folks. Remember, they were here for the tailgate on a Friday night. They stopped in here and said, what the heck is going on?
Yeah.
And they couldn't believe a small town like this had a football tailgate like they had that night.
Yeah.
Well, I could go in for hours about working around the state and what Northwest Ohio football is.
And had a connection to Lane
Thrasher,
that quarterbacked Archibald in the 1988 state championship at they go to Ohio Wesleyan?
Wesleyan, yep.
Right?
Yep,
yeah.
sure did.
Yeah. But this is it's a point where a lot of folks stop into here off of 24 between Detroit and a lot of places, and Indy and Fort Wayne and Toledo and a lot of places elsewhere.
Yeah. Right. Another guest that we it's in the preliminary stages, but we hope to have a gentleman named Jeff Fisher. So if you look up Jeff Fisher, High School Football America, not the former Titans coach Jeff Fisher. Jeff Fisher, he's like probably the national centerpiece of high school football in California, and he wrote a book on high school football in Texas, and so there's a chance that we're going to be able to maybe connect with Jeff Fisher and just talk about the state of high school football, not only in Ohio, but and way beyond. So we're looking forward to that possibly coming to fruition.
Jerry, curious your thoughts. We're seeing the dwindling numbers in rosters in football programs, especially in small town Ohio. You have any thoughts or how we can get it back? Because you're well ingrained in high school football in Ohio for decades.
You know, it's strange because when you think about and being a little bit older than you guys, I hate to admit that. I've seen football go from, this used to be a basketball state. I really believe that. Boy, football is like everything. Friday night lights, look at the stadiums, places that didn't even have great attendance before. It's something to do to go out and support communities, go out and even parochial schools that, have bigger communities, if you want to call it that. But it's just amazing what that's, but yet numbers have dwindled a little bit in the participation of it. And I think I'm a big believer, and I had to deal with this for years, is there's just so much that has become year-round that I hope my granddaughter's not listening to this, but as an example, I have a granddaughter that's a 7th grader. She plays softball, she plays volleyball, she plays, I'm trying to think what else, basketball, and she's a 7th grader, and I'm telling you right now, she's having to give up something because she can't keep up, nor can the family, with everything in the off season. At a volleyball tournament this last weekend. I mean, it's volleyball season for Perrysburg Junior High. And nope, they scheduled a doubleheader for her, and they let some of the girls, my granddaughter didn't do it, but they let some of the girls go play in the softball tournament. And I'm saying that that's a girl sport. I realize that. But I just think there's so much now. Fall baseball is a big deal. And I don't blame them, but it also takes away from some kids. And I think kids are, I know tons of people would disagree with me on that, that you've got all these things, they have to do it, but I think football in particular I think it starts too early. And I know I get a lot of disagreement with that, but I just believe it does.
You'll also get a lot of agreement with it.
Yeah.
Also. So, it's one of those issues where people choose one side or the other and they feel strongly about it, but I would echo your thoughts there, Jerry.
And I don't know if more is the game better? Oh, no doubt. Is the talent better? No doubt. But I just think part of that is time. We just have better athletes today. I mean, just the nature of everything. So is it better because of more time? I don't know. Mm-hmm. I don't have that answer, but I also think the negative of that is it's driving some kids away from it.
We'll continue to talk about that subject, and Jeff Fisher and some other folks we have lined up, maybe a couple MAC folks that are going to join us for a little roundtable discussion on kind of the state of football in Ohio and maybe the whole nation. I know we'd focused in Ohio here, but I think there's other parts of the nation that are struggling with the numbers too.
Yep.
Let's take a break, come back, and hand out our rock-solid performance from week number 4, courtesy of the Gherkin Companies.
Who says a college degree is the only path to a fulfilling career? At the Gherkin Companies, we offer rewarding livelihoods with or without a degree. Gherkin provides a generous benefits package, continuous training, top-notch equipment, and a culture that rewards effort. We're looking for rock-solid performers to help build and reinforce the region's infrastructure. Whether you have construction experience or are just starting your career, apply now at gherkincompanies.com/careers.
Thank you to the Gherkin Companies for sponsoring our podcast and also our rock-solid performance each week. Going to go back to week 4 and get some nominations here. I have a pretty good leader in the clubhouse, but maybe you can sway me. A victory over the defending state champion from a year ago, picked up a big win last week from our coverage area.
Yeah. Yep. I normally only have a couple of teams that I mentioned for this, Lynn, because it needs to mean something, you know. But I wrote down 6 football teams this week, and there's 2 that I'm kind of leaning towards. But I want to mention the 4 first. Shawnee, the Shawnee Indians, after a Week 1 setback, have rattled off 3 straight, including a win against who some thinks a WBL contender, Lima Bath. Huge win for Shawnee. That's pretty rock solid. New Bremen. Anytime you can beat Versailles in football, to me, that's a feather in your cap, and New Bremen got it done. The Anna Rockets. To beat Coldwater is saying something any year, but that's a special win. I think the last time Anna beat them was maybe 18 or 19.
2019 when Anna won the state championship.
Wow. Okay. So to beat Coldwater, feather in their cap. The Archbold Blue Streaks in a game we covered. On paper, some folks might have said, well, Archbold was kind of the favorite there or whatever, but I thought it was rock solid how they overcame adversity, and some of that was self-inflicted with penalties and things like that, but they got their mettle tested a little bit against a physical Delta team, so I thought how Archbold responded was rock solid. The Leipzig Vikings on the road at Pandora Gilboa held Pandora Gilboa out of the end zone late in the game at the buzzer to preserve that victory. So Leipzig was rock solid. And then the Napoleon Wildcats. Not only did they have to go to Clay, they went to Clay for the 2nd year in a row because of the way the schedule flipped and things like that. And I think a lot of folks on paper maybe gave Clay the edge there. And Napoleon went on the road and got it done. 2 pick-6 scores on defense kind of led the way for them. And they were outgained by like almost 100 yards offensively, but the way Napoleon found a way to win at Clay, I thought was pretty rock solid. So those are the 6 I mentioned. If I have to, I don't even really have anybody I'm in love with here. I thought all 6 of those bared mentioning.
Those were the 6 I had 2 from a week ago.
Jeez.
The leader for me is the Anna Rockets because it was against the defending state champion and Chip Otten in Coldwater. For me. 14-7 over the Cavs, held Coldwater to 146 yards, including 61 rushing yards on 16 attempts. First win over the Cavs since 2019, as we mentioned.
Yeah, you're not going to.
The other 5 didn't beat a defending state champion. Yeah. That's what maybe sets me over the top with Anna, if you're good with that, Coach.
Yeah, I'm absolutely good. And in fact, I'm glad you're a little more emphatic than I was because I could have gone anyway with this, but
now if it was just over a 2-2 team or a 3-1 team that maybe hadn't had a lot of success lately or traditionally, okay, but that's Coldwater.
Yeah,
you held them to 7, and the defensive effort. That's rock solid in my mind.
I can't disagree with you, pal.
We okay with that, Jerry?
I'm okay with that. I mentioned before we went on about I covered Shawnee, and one of the things that I really admire in a team is I had them in week 1, saw them in week 1, and they just faltered. They almost gave a game away. And I thought, they haven't had a ton of success in the last couple of years, and I thought, well, how will they bounce back from that? I really think that's a mark of a team. They do or they don't. And then Friday night when they beat Bath at Bath, they did everything they needed to do. They maintained drives, kept the ball out of Bath's hands. Bath has some very talented players and just controlled the game by controlling the ball the whole game. And I was really impressed that they came back. That's their 2nd or 3rd win in a row now, and really glad to see that out of them.
Yeah, 3rd win in a row. Lost to LCC in the opener. That was a Thursday night game, I believe, the first week of the season. And, boy, kind of maybe discredited or kind of put Shawnee to the side of the WBL, but maybe they're in that top 3. I don't know yet. Yeah. I don't know if we know anything about the WBL besides Walpock is the favorite still, but St. Mary's and Walpock play this week. Is Shawnee a possibility to knock somebody big off in that conference? Is Bath Are they totally out of it?
I know.
No, I don't
think you can.
Right.
The WBL, week from week, boy, it can change.
St. Mary's started 0-2, right?
And
now you're thinking, maybe they're
I know.
number 2.
You guys probably saw that. I love to see that St. Mary's has probably the best kicker in the Western Buckeye League. Hit a 49-yarder the other day, and a rarity on a free kick. You know, most people don't know.
Saw that. Yeah,
my son was a kicker for Findlay, and my son, of all places, had a free kick. Hardly anybody sees it. He had a free kick at Massillon, of all places. Unfortunately, the fair catch that they made on it, the guy boomed a record punt, so it was like a 56-yarder or something like that. Might even been further, and Cliff Height at the time, we're going to kick it anyhow. I mean, why not? It was the last play of the half, but came up short. But still, people don't see that. But the kicker from St. Mary's hit one the other night, 49 yards.
Well, they don't see it, and they don't even know the rule exists.
They don't.
No. Only less. I'd say 1% or less of people know that rule in high school football. And we practice it every single Thursday night with Coach Lingern over here at Liberty Center.
Is that right?
Darn right.
Did you ever use it?
We never used it. It's hard to set the table for it because you can only do it after a fair catch.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. And so you got to have all those elements line up, and
you're probably not going to do it unless it's the last play of a half. I mean,
right? You get the ball on the 30-yard line, you're going to try to score a touchdown.
Sure, right.
Yeah.
Now, can you do it at any point in the game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I one thing I didn't know about it, you cannot do it in college. If I'm not mistaken, that's what I read.
I think that's correct.
It's only you can do it in the NFL.
Yeah.
And you can do it in high school, but you can't do it in college. Not a college rule.
It's interesting. So if you get them backed up and they're punting, from their own end line, and you get somebody that fair catches it at the 30, you line up your kickoff team. It looks like a free kick. It looks like a kickoff to start a game. If it goes through the uprights, it's 3 points.
And that's what people, I think, were really misunderstanding, is the ball was on a tee.
Yes.
Not being held. And nobody contested. You couldn't contest it. They're lined up, like you said. I don't know how far back.
Yeah.
That's just
10 yards.
Yeah. So, in some cases, again, last play of a half, why not?
I know.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know that I've ever witnessed that in a high school game in my life. I don't think I have.
No, I haven't seen it.
Have you seen it?
Not in person.
The only time I saw it, again, and at the time I had to ask, I was the athletic director, what in the world are they doing? But, unfortunately in that case, I mean, everybody in the stands, what are they doing?
Right.
And that's.
Yeah. Love to see it in person someday. Just pretty rare occurrence.
Yeah.
And back to the WBL, I hate when media always, every week this team's terrible, and then they win the next week. Oh, they're the greatest.
Yeah.
I hate that instant reaction. So we probably do that too, but that stuff drives me nuts.
I think we're a little more calculated. I might be a little partial, but I think we're a little more calculated before we jump on a bandwagon.
Hopefully.
Sometimes it takes 6 straight wins to even sway me a little bit on your side. Remember Elmwood a few years ago? Those folks were unhappy with me.
Well, it took to the regional final for you to get on board.
And then after I saw them in the regional final, I go, you know what? They're pretty good.
I think you actually saw them against Eastwood, though, and that was about week 7 or 8 that you finally decided.
I wouldn't drink the Kool-Aid until I saw them in person, Jerry. They were good.
I remember that group. They were good.
They were really good.
Yeah, they were good. Yep. And congratulations to Anna, our rock-solid performance from week number 4. Robbie and Myers and I are going to have to make the trek down to Anna this week now.
Yeah.
A little further trek than normal for us.
If you'd have taken the point, you'd have had a lot shorter trip.
We don't care about the travel.
I like it.
We don't care about the travel.
I like it.
Yeah.
Great choice.
Yep. Thank you to the Gherkin Companies for sponsoring that this season. We'll be giving out our rock-solid performance for Week 5 from the games upcoming that we are going to discuss, taking our break, and come back and talk about this week's action around the area. American Freedom Energy and Grandma's General Store off Route 24 on State Route 109, just south of Liberty Center, now has 88 unleaded fuel and is your one-stop shop for fuel, food, drinks, and much, much more, including locally raised meats and home-baked goods. American Freedom Energy and Grandma's General Store is proud to support Black Swamp Football and is the host of the Black Swamp Football podcast, football show, and Saturday mornings Rise and Rewind. Stop in and see Glenn and Greg today and make American Freedom Energy and Grandma's General Store a part of your everyday routine. Welcome back to the Black Swamp Football Podcast presented by the Gherkin Companies and hosted here at American Freedom Energy Grandma's General Store. Going to have another tailgate this week here at American Freedom Energy. Andrew's Traveling Pizza will be here on Friday night for the Liberty Center game.
Where are they based out of,
I don't
Lynn?
know. Glenn's not here.
Andrew's Traveling
Pizza. Yeah, can you get us some more info on that, Coach? I don't know. Hopper was on his way out for a JV football game, so I couldn't get the total details on what Andrew's Traveling Pizza will bring to the table here on Friday night, but I'm sure it's going to be good. Brian in town for that one.
You know who I think that is? Same guy that owns that Queso Kitchen.
Oh, is it?
Andrew Z.
Okay.
I think that's him. I could be wrong. Andrew P. Toledo, Ohio, and Queso Kitchen's right below it. I bet that's the
same one. I'm
guy.
pretty sure. Yep. Yeah. Brian will be in town on Friday night. Stop on out here to American Freedom Energy, just south of Liberty Center, and get you some pizza. Well, I don't probably have some other stuff too, I would assume.
Says Andrew's Traveling Pizza menu features pizzas with a thin crust. I won't read it all, but everything from semi-sweet sauce, multi-cheese blend, pizza, supreme, all the toppings. That's the menus here, but I won't get into all that. But looking at pictures, looks pretty darn
good. Yeah, outstanding. Yeah, stop on out here before or after the game and get you a pie on Friday night as Liberty Center host. Brian, what do you like on your pizza, Jerry?
Anything and everything except anchovies.
Okay.
And I'm a thick crust guy.
You like thick crust?
I do.
Like Chicago style or not that thick?
Not quite that thick.
Okay.
But, I'm a pizza lover.
Where's your go-to? Now you've been all around Ohio, Jerry.
Yeah.
Where are some of your favorites?
Well, don't get me into ice cream because that was my favorite in every town.
Okay.
By far. Actually, for the longest time in good old Upper Sandusky, Ohio, where I'm from, it was Susie's Pizza.
Susie's Pizza.
Yep. And I think it's taken over by somebody else now, but that was my go-to forever, all the time. So always loved it. It's good old Susie's Pizza. Yep.
Yeah. Huh.
Have you ever had, Jeff Palmer, a good friend of yours and beloved by me, he's a Sandusky guy.
Right.
And Jeff and Jody Palmer took me for the first time in my life to Cameo Pizza in Sandusky.
And I like Cameo Pizza, and you cannot meet up with Jeff or Jody Palmer and not go to Cameo Pizza. Now, I have a boat in the same marina that Jeff does. And many times on Friday or Saturday night, if we're there, they come walking in with Cameo Pizza. So I like going to their boat on those nights, just walking over and having dinner. But it's good pizza, I will say that.
Yeah, it is outstanding.
Yeah. A long established place.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Very old.
Yeah. How's the fishing been for you this year? Have you got out on the water much?
Yep. I wish I could tell you I outfish Palmer, but I don't. But yeah, it's actually been pretty good. It's really slow right now. But, I learned that the best thing to have, I've had a boat for a couple of years now, and I love the water, love to fish. But I've learned that the best way to fish is to have somebody else own the boat. Considering, every week something's wrong with a boat.
Yeah.
I told something wrong with Jeff Palmer's boat right now, and I told him just the other day, I said, well, the beauty of this is you can fix your boat. I can't, and it's just one of those things. I mean, I have a couple old Volkswagens, convertibles, and I can tear those apart piece by piece. But when it comes to a boat, I just don't know where the generator is. Plus it's down in that, bilge area. I can't get down there. But boy, Palmer loves working on boats. But I also have learned it's better when the other guy owns the boat.
No doubt about it. Very good point.
Yep.
What's BOAT stand for? Break out another 1,000.
And I think I'm going to start spelling it BOATT because it bust out another 2,000.
Okay.
Because that's the way it's been.
Okay, yeah.
And that's very truthful.
Is Coach Palmer as competitive? We got to move on, but is he as competitive fishing as he is in every other aspect of his life?
Yes, he is. And you know what's interesting? The dockmaster of our marina is Rock Farlow.
Oh, yeah.
Rock was
Castelia, Margareta, and Perkins, state champion coach.
Yep. So, it's hard to get away there, without talking football to everybody, here and there. So, yeah, it's kind of a neat place to have a boat in the marina.
Yeah, wow. Rock's a buddy of mine. I took some classes with him, and he's old school, buddy.
Very old school. Yes, he is.
He told me he thought the weight training programs were overrated. He said, you know what weight training is? Tell a kid to pick something up that's heavy, move it, and do it over and over. He said, you don't need some fancy program and all this. Pick up something heavy, move it, and do it over and over. That's it.
Hey, I'm a 1973 graduate of Upper Sandusky in our weight program. I remember we got this newfangled machine. I mean, nobody had them at the Universal.
Yeah.
And that was our weight training. Yeah. I mean, when you think about it, and I don't know what we did before that. I think we baled hay, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's what But isn't that so strange to me how that's become such a factor?
Yeah,
incredible.
Yeah. Last week's pick'em results, I was 31-8, Tory 32-9. The Stabler boys were both 31-10 a week ago. Overall, Tory still has a little bit of an edge on me. 140-39 is Coach Strock for a .782 winning percentage. I'm 133-39, .773 winning percentage. That's what you're up against this week, Jerry.
See you guys.
Yeah,
I'm going over to Grandma's over here. I'm eating.
Yeah, we're always neck and neck. We're always pretty close. And a lot of the games, Jerry, we'll all pick the same team, but there's a handful of games every week that separate the men from the boys, if you know what I mean.
I'm sure, but I will say this, and, I'm not doing a commercial for you, but at the same time, you guys know football. You know not only know football, but you know your teams. And I think you're not picking just on a whim. You're picking on, you guys know the injury reports, I think, I think you guys have an insight on all of that, but you really do. And I think that's why your numbers are high.
Yeah, Lynn doesn't share all of his insight with me, though, on the injuries and things.
I've been trying to get the George Eggers injury report from Napoleon each week, and I never get it. That's why I lost my lead pipe lock a week ago, because he won't tell me about Napoleon's all-Ohio running back if he was playing, and he played last week. If I'd known he was playing, I would have picked Napoleon, and then I had to deal with my neighbor, Alex Gherkin, coming in here Saturday morning with this goofy-looking lead pipe lock thing that he must have put together at 3 a.m. in his garage on Saturday morning.
Yeah, I didn't have any idea if George was going to play or not. I didn't know anything.
Yeah.
I would have shared it with you.
Well, last week when we had Shawnee and Bath, both coaches reported that their quarterback for Shawnee was not playing. He was hurt. He started and had a great game. So,
geez.
I don't know.
Little gamesmanship there. That's something Rex Lingering would do.
Yeah. I don't know what you guys make of this, but the coverage area teams that are 4-0 over the first 4 weeks, I'm going to give you their opponents' records so far. Marion Local, there's our 8-8. Liberty Center's 6-10, Walpock 5-11, Fairview's 3-13, Patrick Henry 3-13, Lipsick 3-13, Liberty Benton 3-13, New Bremen 3-13, North Baltimore's are 4-12, and then Paulding's are 2-14. So all the teams that are 4-0 in our coverage area, none of them have played teams that have an above 500 record so far. Do you make anything of? Do you make anything of that?
No, because they can only play who's in front of them. But you also, are they as dominant as they appear? So I think you can tell a little bit, but not everything.
And I think a lot of those schools have their big games in the second half kind of here of the season. But you look at somebody like Delphus St. John's, their opponents are 15-1, Wasion's 14-2, Central Catholic 11-2, Ayersville 13-3, and then there's a bunch at 12-4 and 11-5, 10-6, 9-6 in that area. But how about Delphus St. John's? 15-1 are the record of your first 4 opponents.
94% clip win percentage.
And I'll tell you what I would make of that if I were those other coaches that are not those undefeated teams and those. Hey, hang in, guys. We have a chance here.
Yeah,
don't give up the ship yet. And I mean, you're going to say that to everybody, but at the same time, I mean, I think sometimes for coaches, that's one of the hardest things is to keep people going.
Yeah.
Mentally in particular.
Yeah.
So hey, just because this team 4-0 doesn't mean a whole lot yet.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah. Points allowed so far, Liberty Benton leading the pack. They've only allowed 12. Marion Local and Liberty Center both have allowed 14, so is Paulding. PH has allowed 21, Walpock 36, Whitmer 36, New Bremen 36, Perrysburg at 41, and then on from there, and I'll get that posted on our social media page at some point here in the coming days. But just some tidbits there for you as we head into the Week 5 schedule. Geez, it's halfway over after Friday night this week, which is incredible. Football season always goes so quick, and halfway through it already. It's just like that.
Plus, it's still summer out.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what, how blessed. I say this from the standpoint, too, of school athletic departments and their, the money that they rely on. I mean, they've been blessed to have this good weather.
Sure have.
Yeah. It's been pretty cool, and now it's warming back up a little bit.
Be close to 90 this week.
Yes.
I think so.
High 80s.
Mid 80s, high 80s on Friday.
Was Liberty Center one of those that had to fly over this week?
At Swanton, yes.
That's what I
at
saw.
Swanton, yeah.
That was pretty cool, too.
Yeah,
when you talk about.
Yep.
A lot of people I heard went to games just to see that. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, that was a nice thing that the 180th did this week for, 7 or 8 stadiums around the area, and they did it in like 5 minutes.
Yeah, and that's what they told how difficult it was to get that approved, number one, and arranged. When you think about it, they timed it up with the bands playing the national anthem.
Yeah.
I tried several times in my time at the OHSA to get a flyover. I just thought that was so cool, And I just couldn't get people to agree.
Yeah.
I always wonder then, for how in the world do colleges do it all the time?
Yeah.
I mean, are they paying for that? I don't know. It's kind of an intriguing thing, what it took to get the 180th to organize all that. It was phenomenal, but colleges do it all the time. I don't know.
Yeah. I know the pilots were pretty excited about doing it. I think several of them had a kind of in a past history with football of some
There was a
kind.
Maumee grad that flew over their game.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty special.
It would be.
Pretty neat.
Wow.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Going to start our Week 5 picks in the Blanchard Valley Conference. Pandora Gilboa 2-2, 1-1 at Arlington, who is undefeated. Arlington also started 6-0 in 2022, finished 9-2. Arlington leads the series 35-15 in the playoff era. PG running back Ben Burkholder, 81 carries, 400 yards, 5 TDs, and a name that Tory and I are familiar with. Arlington running back Aiden Cavaney, 59 carries, 338 yards, and 4 TDs. It seems like he's been there 10 years.
Gosh. Good Lord, yeah. We saw him over at Antwerp.
Yeah, that's right.
In the playoffs there.
Yeah, that's right.
Man, he's good.
Yes.
He's good.
Yeah, matchup of a couple really good running backs. Arlington undefeated.
This is one of the tougher. Each week, Jerry, you'll see, I mean, you know this, but there's a handful of games that I call them coin flip games that could go either way. This is one of them.
This may be the toughest of the week.
It's a tough one. Pandora Gilboa coming off a loss, bad taste in their mouth. They're at Arlington, and a lot of people around here don't understand how much tradition there is at Arlington. They're one of the all-time winningest programs in Ohio history, and tons of tradition. And some people will be fooled by PG's 2-2 record. They're still pretty good. I've kind of tooted Arlington's horn a little bit. They scrimmaged at Bluffton University in the preseason. Marion Local was there. I think Bluffton High School maybe was there. And my son was there, and he said, Dad, I'm going to tell you right now, Arlington looked really, really good that day. And so I trust his word, and I'm going with the Arlington Red Devils at home to get it done in a close one against Pandora Gilboa.
I'm with Arlington. I've followed them quite a bit, being in the Findlay area like that. I sometimes think, I'm a little bit like you. I sometimes I think they're like under the radar a little bit.
They are.
And I don't know. I think part of that, at least where I live, Findlay and Liberty Benton are connected.
Yeah.
I mean, some of those homes in the Liberty Benton district are closer to the high school in Findlay, but Arlington kind of sits out there all on their own. They get the same coverage, I think, but still I think they hide. And you're right, they are good.
Yeah. Nice golf course there, too,
Yes,
Jerry.
very nice.
Not so fast. Not so fast. First game of the week, I'm going to get one up on you because I'm doing a little comparative scoring. I don't like doing that. But Pandora Gilboa beat Van Buren 42-7. Arlington beat them 28-10. Give me the Rockets just because of that.
Okay. That comparative scoring get you in trouble, Lynn.
It can, but it's not going to in this game because Coach Hershey and the Rockets going to go to Arlington and get the win.
I'd love to see that game.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I can't believe you did that. No, I can. I thought you might.
Look at those scores.
Yeah, I don't look at the scores.
42-7 and 28-10.
It doesn't matter. Sometimes, if I want it to, it does. But it doesn't.
Ben Burkholder, Corey Girton, Rockets going to go on the road and get the victory.
Aiden Cavaney going to load the Red Devils up on their back.
Also in the BBC this week, Liberty Benton, boy, are they rolling. They were also 6-0 in 2020. They're well on their way to that. They've outscored their foes 179-12. They've only allowed 401 yards, have the Eagles through the first 4 weeks. They are at Elmwood, who has been outscored 169-59 this year and lost 16 straight. Seth Elkert of Liberty Benton, 494 yards receiving, 8 touchdowns on 23 grabs. He'd have twice that if they were in games that were competitive, but they haven't been. Boy, Liberty Benton's going to roll again here.
I watched Liberty Benton practice, and Mark Ritzler, former Findlay coach, is an assistant there. Scott Garlock, the head coach at Liberty Benton. Both of those guys played for me in basketball. But so I went out, I actually watched a practice. I actually spoke to their team after going into one of their games, and I was so impressed with what they do at practice. And I just thought, they're pretty good. They're pretty good. I've got Liberty Benton.
Yeah, 2 great guys, Scott Garlock and Mark Ritzler.
They sure are.
I thought Findlay was lucky when they had Mark Ritzler there, and he's just a great guy. And this is going to be a long night for the Royals. And Liberty Benton's the real deal. They are the real deal. I hope they remain healthy and can get to where they want to get to. Give me Liberty Benton.
That defense has a chance to pitch another shutout. Yeah. The detonator, C.J. Barber and crew, going to get it done. Boy,
it's not even fair.
They don't have a tough road really coming up. I don't see how that affects them once they get in the playoffs. They have Arlington next week, who is 4-0, and Leipzig, who's 4-0. But I think the rest of the BBC, they roll. Does Liberty Benton, do they get through the BBC without running clock and everybody, Coach Strock?
I don't think they'll run and clock everybody.
Okay.
I don't. And it may not be, you may think, well, Leipzig's 4-0, they won't run and clock. It could be somebody like Pandora Gilboa. Arlington, we'll see. I think the Arlington PG game this week will tell us quite a bit, but I'm going to say no on them running clocking everybody.
Okay. Arcadia 2-2, 1-1 in the BVC. They're at Leipzig, who is undefeated. Leipzig has won 10 straight against Arcadia and is 37-9 in the playoff era against the Redskins. Vikings average 383.8 yards per game. Arcadia has used the ground game for 914 of their 1,066 yards this season. Leipzig QB Mark Kirkendall, 15 yards from 1,000 passing. Leipzig running back Marquise Williams, 382 yards rushing and 6 TDs on 55 carries. And then Avery Paris, Leipzig standout receiver, 22 catches, 437 yards, and 5 TDs. Does Leipzig continue their dominance over the Redskins?
I say yes, they do. To me, there's a big difference there. Arcadia, that's such a small team, can't afford any injuries. Their schedule's a little different, going into this, and I think, it's Leipzig.
Leipzig's offense gets a lot of attention, and rightfully so. They're very explosive, but their defense maybe doesn't get enough credit. They've done a fantastic job, and look no further than what they did against a powerful Pandora-Gilboa offense last week. So, the Vikings absolutely hold serve at John Edwards Field Friday night.
Yeah, Leipzig had kind of been gashed the first few weeks of the season, but their defense played better a week ago, giving up close to the most yards per game in the conference so far in the first 3 weeks, but figured it out a week ago. NWCC, North Baltimore, one of our undefeated teams that we cover, 4-0 and 3-0 in the NWCC at Waynesfield Goshen, who's 2-2 and 1-1. Waynesfield Goshen won 49-14 last year and 49-6 in 2023, which were the first meetings since the 70s. North Baltimore quarterback Luke Long, he's 59 of 84, 1,276 yards and 15 touchdowns. Their running back Brody Walter, 507 yards, rushing 6 TDs on 48 attempts. And then Cooper Clark was leading the entire nation as far as max prep stats go. He's up to 842 yards on 30 catches and 10 touchdowns. He's averaging almost 30 yards per grab. But Waynesfield Goshen has rolled the last 2 years. That hasn't materialized in the first 2 weeks as North Baltimore's beat a couple of teams that have dominated them in the past. But I think North Baltimore stays hot with Coach Bishop at the controls in that high-octane offense.
Yeah, I took that bait a couple of weeks ago when I took Marion Elgin against North Baltimore, and I did that on recent history. I ain't going to make that mistake again. Give me the Fighting Tigers on the road.
And I've got Waynesfield Goshen.
You do?
I do.
Okay.
I do. I think when that league came together, I just think there's a little bit different down there. And North Baltimore, I hate picking against them. I spoke.
Careful, Jerry. We got a lot of followers in North Baltimore. Be careful here.
I know.
They love us in North Baltimore, Jerry.
I'll go with North Baltimore.
No.
No, they're great people. I tell you, I spoke out there to their marching band and their cross country team, and they do a lot of great things there. I just have this feeling on Waynesfield Goshen.
Waynesfield Goshen's had a lot of great seasons.
Yes, they have.
Well, they're the head coach at Toledo St. John's, Joe Horn, legend at Waynesfield Goshen. Track and field football. His whole family, his brother Gray Horn, and Dad's a legendary coach.
Yes.
And
We'll see.
I like Jerry. We like a little bit of dissension.
Yeah.
It's no fun if we just agree all day.
Yeah.
Lynn made the mistake with the first pick, taking Pandora-Gilboa.
Oh, that's right. It was my turn now.
And then you just did there. So
Northwest Conference this week. Columbus Grove looking for another victory. They're 1-3, 1-0 in the NWC after opening up conference play with a win at Delphus Jefferson, who's 1-3 and 0-1. Grove has won the last 7 meetings against the Jeff Cats. Next 3 Grove foes have combined for 2 wins and 10 losses as Allen East and Fort Loramie follow up the Jeff Cats. Columbus Grove ends the regular season, though, with 3 toughies: Crestview 3-1, LCC 4-0, and Bluffton 4-0. But I think Grove wins this week.
I've got Grove. We talked about, you mentioned this, we talked about coaches that, granted they don't have a lot of freedom in their schedule, but they'll play anybody. Mm-hmm. And I really respect people that do that. They'll risk a loss to get better in the long run, and that's Grove. I love their coaching staff, and I just think that alone is a big-time winner. So I've got them.
couldn't agree more, Jerry. I too like the Grove Bulldogs. You can't make this the lead pipe lock, but there's zero chance Columbus Grove gets tripped up this week at Stadium Park.
Yeah, I haven't figured out my lead pipe lock for the week.
I got mine.
You want to give Jerry the parameters of the lead pipe lock?
Lead pipe lock, Jerry, is a game that you are guaranteeing, but it's got to be even Steven. You can't make Liberty Benton over Elmwood your lead pipe lock.
Right.
Come on.
Gotcha.
It's got to be a coin flip game.
Question.
But you know something no one else knows.
I gotcha.
So keep that in mind. You can go back if there's a game you've picked that you think is your lead pipe lock.
Gotcha.
Okay.
And if you pick a lead pipe lock and we don't agree, we can nix it.
Oh, okay.
We'll make you pick again. We did that to Kenny Stabler and his son last week.
Okay.
Yeah, I think just to Kenny. I don't think Brady tried to.
No,
he
didn't try
get
to
a little cute,
finagle it.
Yeah, you're right there.
Yeah.
Take a break here from the Swanton Welding Company and come back and talk about the NWAL slate this week. The Swanton Welding Company proudly supports our local student athletes and coaches. We're committed to being your local steel fabrication company in Northwest Ohio and building projects across the country. For job opportunities at the Swanton Welding Company, visit www.swantonweld.com or visit them at 407 Zider Way in Swanton.
Hard-working individuals have been the heart of the Gherkin companies for generations. Together we construct the highways and infrastructure that strengthen our communities. Gherkin is seeking rock-solid performers. We offer generous benefits, continuous training, top-notch equipment, and a culture that rewards effort. Want to be part of something big, steady, and stable with room to grow? Whether you're experienced or just starting your career, we encourage you to apply at gherkincompanies.com/careers.
Welcome back to the Black Swamp Football Podcast presented by the Gherkin Company. He's going to get into the NWAL this week. Evergreen 4-0, 1-0 in the league at Archbold, who is 3-1, 1-0 in the league, coming off of that nice win over Delta. And sorry, I have Evergreen written down here as a 4-0 team. Their first four foes are 3-13. Another team that is played some competition that's not up to what they're going to see here in the last 6 weeks of the season. But the Vikings won 26-22 last year over Archbold, snapping an 8-game winning streak by the Streaks. Archbold's first four foes have won 9 combined games so far, as you look at what Archbold has done against their foes and got a big win over Delta. The other big win was Genoa in week 1, and they played St. Henry tough as well there earlier on in the season.
Well, we've talked a few times this year about, is Evergreen for real? If the Evergreen Vikings want to prove that they have arrived, this is the proving ground here. They beat them last year, right? The Vikings did. Mm-hmm. And this one is my lead pipe lock of the week. Even though Evergreen's 4-0, they beat Archbold a year ago, there is no chance Archbold gets tripped up at home after what I saw last week. Blue Streaks, lead pipe lock of the week.
I won't double down on that lead pipe lock, but I 100% agree that Archbold will win that. Their game against St. Henry is good. Yeah. St. Henry's very good. Mm-hmm. Big win last week, if I'm not mistaken, with Archbold. And
over Delta?
Yeah, and I just think, Archbold, there's no doubt in my mind.
Got down a couple possessions there in the second half and came back and got the victory there. But I like the Streaks after seeing them a week ago. They're pretty dynamic on offense. They have a lot of talent. They played pretty well offensively and kind of had their way against Delta if they got out of their own way. They had some self-inflicted mistakes that hurt them, but they're playing better this season as Archbold. We'll find out as they get into the Patrick Henrys and the Liberty Centers of the NWAL as the season progresses. Patrick Henry, another team that's 4-0. They go to Wauseon, who is winless. PH running backs Cal Schrader and Jaden Rudder have had nice seasons. Schrader, 43 carries, 370 yards, 9 TDs. Rudder has 284 yards, 6 touchdowns. Powers a ground game that has 912 yards and 19 touchdowns on 120 carries. Tristan Rosebrook is 40 of 58 passing, 661 yards and 5 TDs. Reed Krieger leads the PH receivers, 13 catches, 264 yards, 2 TDs. PH has limited their foes to 290 yards rushing on 111 attempts and 27 of 57 passing for 291, as Patrick Henry has done it on both sides of the ball so far.
Lynn, you mentioned earlier, Wauseon's opponents are a combined 14-2. Mm-hmm. So we know, and then Patrick Henry's are at the other end of the spectrum. And so we know Wauseon's battle tested. I mean, they opened up with Fairview, Bellevue, Eastwood. And so they're maybe a fuzz better than the record would indicate. But Patrick Henry's rolling right now. And as I've said many times, there's no one better at bringing their guys back down to earth than Bill Linselman. He will build up the Indians all week. The Patriots will be clicking on all cylinders. Wasion's a little bit better than people think, I'll tell you that. Mm-hmm. But Patrick Henry gets it done. It may not be a big score as far as a differential. Wasion will play them tough. Patriots get the win.
And I agree. I think this game will be closer than what records show. But again, I think PH, tough to beat.
Yeah.
It's tough to beat.
You know who PH has next week, right? Coach Strock. Game we'll have on our Gamecast presented by the Sports Place at Wasion Ace. They're coming right here to Liberty Center. Does that have any effect on this week against an 0-4 team? Does the kids, it's 0-4. We're going to get ready for Liberty, our neighbor on the other side of Henry County. No?
I don't think
Coach
so.
Henson will have them ready to go?
Yeah, I think they want to put that out of their mind as long as they can.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I think Coach Henselman will have them focused, and then Ben George and the whole rest of that staff they'll have them locked in. But you're kidding yourself, though, if you think those other coaches haven't taken a peek at a lot of Liberty film and doing a lot of scheming, little pencil paper. They've had their eye on Liberty this whole year.
Well, you also know kids are talking.
Kids are talking.
You know that. Coaches don't hear that, but they're talking in study halls. They're talking at lunchtime.
Yeah.
But Coach Henselman, and it's a coach's job to keep him focused on this week, and he'll do that.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll take PH then. But I think we may get a halftime score, and it's 13-7 or something. I think it could be close for a while, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, especially at Wasion,
Wasion played Fairview pretty tough. Week 1. They're battle tested.
Yeah, they are.
But I like PH in that matchup. Delta coach Mike Vickers looking for his 200th career win on Friday as they go to Swanton. The Panthers 2-2, 0-1 after that loss to Archbold in the NWAL. Swanton 0-4 and 0-1. Delta has won the last 5 against Swanton in this series, but Mike Vickers gets that milestone victory. Give him win number 200 as they win against Swanton.
Yeah, the Coach Vickers Bowl here. He's
been at both places.
They're gonna roll at Swanton. They got a couple guys dinged up last week, as we saw, Lynn, but they're going to have plenty of firepower come Friday night. And give me the Panthers.
Same here. I'd like anything Coach Vickers does. I think he always has his teams ready. It's cool that he's playing against another school he's been at. Mm-hmm. But I also know, too, I think kids will rally for him. Mm-hmm. I really believe that. They know he's going after his 200th. They're gonna play their tails off for him.
They did a week ago, I can tell you that, and I think they get him win number 200, rounding out the NWAL schedule for week number 5. Bryan 1-3, 0-1 in the league, right here at Liberty Center against the Tigers. LC has won the last 5 against Bryan, and LC has done it in the air and on the ground. LC quarterback Caden Kreinbrink, 26 of 38 passing, 493 yards, 8 TDs. The Tigers have outrushed their opponents 1,175 to 240. They're allowing foes only 2.5 yards per tote. Garrison Cruz averaging just 7.75 carries a game, but he has almost 500 yards. He's 3 short of 500 for the season, and he has 9 touchdowns on 31 carries. That's 16 yards per lug. And he's only a junior. Going to have to deal with him another year, folks. Thomas Moeller, he's added 294 yards rushing on 35 carries. And then outstanding tight end, Jackson Lonazak, averages 35.3 per catch. 7 catches, 247 yards, 3 TDs. He had that 198 yard against Otsego, which has really helped his average. But, boy, you get the ball in Jackson's hands or Gary's hands, watch out. It's almost a touchdown every time.
What would you have done if you had a player that you can hand the ball to and he's going to get you 16 yards? Or let's pass this time, we'll get 35.
Yeah.
As an average, I can't go against him. there's for Liberty Center, there's no stopping him.
I think it'd be surprising to people, because it kind of is to me, that you said, when you talk about Liberty Center, they're playing Bryan, you said that they're going for their 5th straight.
They've won their last 5. This would be the 6th straight.
This would be 6. The average fan would say, "Oh, I thought they'd won probably 15 straight against." But Bryan is. I mean, are they the biggest school in the league? I mean, they're right up there, right? So
them and Wauseon.
They probably should never lose 6 straight in the league if school size matters. And so they're walking into a hornet's nest Friday night, and they'll give it all they got, but it ain't gonna be enough. Liberty Center rolls.
Yeah, boy. Liberty Center will get ready for that matchup against Patrick Henry here coming up next week. Then they have Evergreen, who is 4-0 on the road the following week. Delta at home, Wauseon at home, and then Archbold week number 10. So some tests still out there for Liberty Center, but so far, boy, they have looked all the part of getting back to Canton and maybe hoisting the trophy this season.
Yeah.
They have looked fantastic so far, guys. NBC this week, Rossford going to Lake. Lake has lost their last 7 games. Rossford trying to bounce back from that loss against Eastwood a week ago.
I just that's a tough one, really, because I don't think both teams.
It is a tough one.
You know, I can't tell you any one of them is a favorite, but Lake has struggled. Lake has really struggled. They've struggled to score, and I got Rossford.
Yeah. Lake has had their struggles. Rossford 2-2, Lake 0-4. Games at Lake. Lake's due. Give me the Flyers. I'll take Lake.
I'm going to take Lake, too. They have scored some points.
Yeah.
35, 42, 28, 20.
I was wrong on that a little bit, obviously, but
Lipsick, they had 35, 42 against Northwood, but they haven't been able to play defense. They've given up 56 twice, 38 and 27. But I think this week they play just enough defense to get the win. Give me Lake to get a win in the win column.
I agree.
Maumee 2-2, 1-0 in the NBC. They are at Genoa, who is 3-1, 1-0, third meeting. Maumee won 33-13 last year, and Genoa won 48-28 in 2023. We discount Genoa. They lost to Archbold week 1, and since then they've been on a roll, and think they're right in this NBC mix. I don't know that there's an Oak Harbor of last year or the year before, and maybe some of the Eastwood teams going back 3 years, or the Elmwood team 3 years ago this season in the NBC. But I like Genoa. I think the Comets are going to pick up the win in this matchup.
I, too, like Genoa at home. They were my pick to win the NBC at the beginning of the year, and I think Oak Harbor maybe is a favorite right now, but I'm going to go with Genoa at home.
And I am going with Maumee.
Oh,
I like what Maumee does. I love what the excitement that their coaching staff has created there. And I got to know them. I did some things up at Maumee last year, and I realized that was last year. But I really like the enthusiasm and even the commitment by their players. I'm taking Maumee.
Yeah, Evan Karchner has turned the tide there in very short order and restored some of the traditions, and he's put together a staff of guys that bleed purple and gold, and everything you said's valid, Jerry. I agree.
And I know that next year they're going back to, I forget what they call it, but I think it's next year that he even got the Perrysburg
Ding Dong Bell.
Yeah, that's what it is. He got that back. So, I mean, again, he's really, I like that.
Yeah.
I like, not afraid to play people, and that's the way you get better.
Yeah. Bill Fisher, don't be looking ahead to next week because you got Oak Harbor. Got to get me a win here to get another one on Jerry.
Yeah. Jerry, he could look like a genius when this is all said and done.
Hey.
You know what I like? I like how he's his own man.
Yeah.
He doesn't just try to piggyback off whatever we say. And
Yeah, it'd be easy to come in here and just follow the experts,
yeah,
right?
Right.
Yeah, Coach Fisher, listen. Lock in and get focused. Quit screwing around. You can't trip up at home this week.
Absolutely.
Hopefully he listens to this.
Hopefully. Eastwood 3-1, 1-0 in the NBC. They're at Fostoria, who is winless on the season. Eastwood 13-0 all-time against Fostoria. Average margin of victory in this game, 46.1 points per game. Eastwood has rolled over Fostoria in the series of this one.
Yeah, Fostoria has given up 37, 53, 44, and 49. Ouch. Yeah, give me the Eastwood Eagles, no doubt.
Yeah, Fostoria is destroyed by injuries right now too, and who would have ever thought? I still go back to the old days of people wouldn't schedule Fostoria.
Oh, they were made of steel.
Oh my word! And every time I drive through town and I see those state championship years on their signs, and I think, well, that's a long time ago.
Yeah.
Some of the great players they have, but Eastwood. I mean, who'd have ever thought that?
I know.
But I'd take Eastwood.
Yeah, I got Eastwood as well. They've been just too dominant in that series, and they have another nice team there for Sam Cotterman this season. Here's an interesting NBC game this week. Oak Harbor still has not tasted defeat in NBC play, 15-0. After they joined the conference a couple years ago, won it both years, and then started with a win last week. Rockets are 15-3 against Otsego in the playoff era. Can Otsego go to Oak Harbor and compete with Coach May and crew?
It's hard for me to say that a Craig Rutherford coach team won't compete, but I'm going to say it's going to be in vain. I think Oak Harbor rolls in this game. Keep an eye, Jerry, on Otsego going forward. Their sophomore class is loaded and super special. They're going to get good real quick.
And I think they'll get even better because of the coaching.
You got it, buddy.
I think, I always marveled, when I look at teams like, how can a coach really make a difference? You know what I mean? Okay, he's a good coach. He's a good coach. But some people they just do it.
They just do it.
And I think I agree with you. Now, unfortunately, I'm like you. I don't think he can go to Oak Harbor and win.
Right.
But not this year.
Yeah, give me the Rockets, too. I think they have a little too much again, but wouldn't be surprised if this one's tight.
Same
with
here.
the way Otsego plays.
I would think he would have every game plan in place to do what he can. And then the intangibles of turnovers, penalties, things like that creep in. But, I'm like you. I think he'll have everything in place to do what he can do to win. But I still think no matter what, Oak Harbor at home just is going to take it.
I agree. Western Buckeye League, St. Mary's 2-2, 2-1 in the league at Wapak, who is 4-0, 3-0 in the WBL. St. Mary's, typical Rough Rider fashion, averaging almost 300 yards rushing per game. Kayla Schmidt leads St. Mary's with 618 yards on the ground, 13 touchdowns, 85 carries. On the other side, Wapak senior quarterback Caleb Moyer, 58 of 65. That's 89%. 796 yards, 7 TDs, no interceptions. Caden Page, the special senior receiver, an Ohio commit, 23 receptions, 378 yards, 3 TDs. Wapak running back Jarrett Mullen, 275 yards rushing, 3 TDs, along with 19 receptions, 242 yards, 3 TDs. Wapak defender Braylon Walter has 4.5 sacks. Wapak has won 19 straight in the WBL.
I'm going to go with Wapak, especially at home, but I think this game's closer than most people realize that it'll be. If St. Mary's, the recipe everyone needs to use is keep the ball away from Wapak. That's your best defense. They've got an offense built to do it with their ground attack. They seem to have woken up the last couple weeks.
I agree with you on that, definitely.
And those kids are going to be just out of their minds, inspired to play. And if they can control the ball and clock, I think we're going to see a halftime score where people are going to go, holy smoke, St. Mary's is in this. Give me Wapak, though.
Yeah, I'm like you. 100%. I think Wapak just has too much right now. I really like how St. Mary's has, you're right, got a wake-up call. Their coaching staff does a great job. And you're right, they're built to keep the ball away.
Yep.
But I still think Wapak, they're just a machine right now.
Yep.
And that class is really built up to be seniors. And the Moyer kid at quarterback is really tough to beat.
Oh, he is special.
Yep.
Yeah. St. Mary's lost to Galleon 35-6 and then lost to Bath 56-36. Give up 56 to Bath. That's a little bit of concern going up against a team like Wapak with the weapons they have. Last 2 weeks, they've outscored Salina 42-14 and Defiance last week 41-0. So maybe there's something's changed for Bo Fry and crew, but I don't think they have enough against this Walpock team. I think Walpock gets another.
And, I think that was a
win.
big surprise to everybody when they played Galleon. Now, Galleon actually is doing pretty well right now.
3-1 on the season.
Yeah, and I don't know, I don't follow them as closely.
Yeah,
but
they played Braden DeVito and Shelby last week, and it was 45-34. Braden DeVito, one of the top players in all of Ohio, and got into a shootout with him. But Galleon's looked pretty good, 41-14 over Cary, and then they beat Norwalk in week 3, 41-0 before that loss to Shelby last week.
Right. But I still, I'm going to go with Walpock.
Yeah, that's tough to pick against them the way they're playing right now. Also in the Western Buckeye League this week, Salina 1-3, 1-2 at Shawnee. Salina has Salina's won their last 3 against the Indians. Shawnee and Shane Wireman beat Bath 31-21 last week after beating Elida 13-10 and Kenton 37-6 following that opening night loss to LCC 22-19. Shawnee could be 4-0 just as easy.
Oh, yeah, they lost right at the end of the game to LCC. Last week, I saw Shawnee score at the end of the first half, and they also got the kickoff for the second half and scored.
2 for 1.
And, when they went off the field at the end of the first half, you know how you just see the confidence, the way they went off the field? And then at the end of the game, when they stopped Bath when they needed to stop them, controlled the clock, the confidence that they had, you could just see it from them. So I think right now it's hard to beat Shawnee. I think Shawnee's going to have a little bit of a run before they play Walpock in a few weeks. But I've got Shawnee.
I got Shawnee too.
I struggled with this one a little bit.
Did you?
Yeah, because I wouldn't be one single bit surprised to see Salina go on the road and get it done because of the parity in that conference. Yeah. The WBL, for my money, is just the most even-Steven conference. And so I'm going to go with Shawnee because they're at home. And Jerry talked about their confidence, and that's only going to grow. But Salina's going to give them all they want. This one's going to come down to the fourth quarter.
Yep. Also in the Western Buckeye League this week, Bath 3-1, 2-1 in the WBL. They're at Kenton, who is 1-3, 1-2. Bath won 42-35 last year. Kenton won 38-34 in 2023. That's any indication of 2025. Going to be a lot of points scored, and it'll be close.
Yep. Give me the Bath Wildcats to rebound this week.
Bath got a wake-up call last week. I really think that. I do think they were shocked that they were down, but I think they had every belief they could come back and win it, and they didn't. And so I think they got a wake-up call. And, sometimes that's the best thing that happens to a team.
Yeah.
Nobody wants a loss, but I think sometimes that's the best thing that can happen. I've got Bath.
I'm going to take Frank Russell and Bath in that matchup as well. Here's one for you guys, a matchup of 2-2 and 1-2 teams. Van Wert is at Defiance. Defiance has been outscored 72-7 the last 2 weeks. Now that was against St. Mary's and Walpock. Van Wert lost 38-37 in OT to Salina last week and 35-28 to Bath in week number 3. Who stops the bleeding in this matchup?
I've got Defiance.
Okay.
I've got Defiance. I just do. I spent some time there. I know a lot of the people there. And
going back to your roots, huh?
I am. I just have a lot of faith that they'll bounce back and they'll do it.
I took some heat last week, Jerry. Defiance played St. Mary's, okay, and I took St. Mary's, and I took a little bit of heat from a couple of my Defiance friends. St. Mary's rolled them.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know what I'm talking about. I'm going to take some heat again this week. Even though this one's at Fred J. Brown Stadium, give me the Van Wert Cougars.
This is my lead pipe lock.
Oh.
Van Wert.
Ooh.
Van Wert.
Okay. You're going to lead pipe that one.
Lead pipe it.
See, now, Jerry, that's a good lead pipe lock pick because this is an even game.
Yeah, it could go. You're right about that. Yep.
That's why I respect him from time to time.
It can't be some Mickey Mouse game where there's a heavy favorite, folks. This has got to be the real McCoy.
Yeah.
I like it.
Van Wert scoring points, Defiance offense struggling. Give me the Cougars.
Lead pipe lock.
Lead pipe lock. That is mine for the week. Finishing out the Western Buckeye League, OG 0-4 at Elida, who is 2-2, 1-2. But Elida's lost by 5 to Van Wert and 3 to Shawnee. Bulldogs get over the 500 mark this week, move to 3-2 with the win over the Titans.
Jerry, go ahead.
I have seen Elida, and I've seen them like this.
Yeah?
You know, I just, to me, this is a chance for OG to get a win. And where's it at?
It is at Elida.
Okay.
At OG on the paper.
Oh, that's not right. It's at I typed that wrong.
Oh, okay.
It's at Elida.
It's at Elida.
Okay.
Elida has, to me, just a man amongst kids is Parker Krim.
Yeah.
And I just, to me, he's a real deciding factor. You know, you got to run away from him. I've seen him, almost take punts out of a punter's hand on a rush, you know, so I've got Elida, though.
I struggled with this one because you said just a minute ago a chance for OG. They're gonna get a win.
Yes, they are.
Somewhere. And so I thought, and because on my paper I have at Ottawa Glandorf, I thought, you know what, perfect recipe for OG to steal one this week. But at Elida, I know it's not the horseshoe or the big house type home field advantage, but I think there's something to it. I'm going to go with Elida. I highlighted Elida, and then I was kind of wishy-washy, but I'm going with Elida.
I am like you, though. I really believe that, too. I think, OG is going to get a win. They're going to. They're better than that, and they're well-coached, and you know their kids buy into it well. I just think at Elida, you know, and having seen Elida play, I think there's Elida's got the 6'6" quarterback that also plays defensive end, and you know, so I just think there's a little numbers game there.
Wouldn't be surprised though if you get a final score and OG knocked them off.
I wouldn't be surprised one bit.
Yeah.
Give us a little insight on Parker Krim.
Is he committed to UC?
Illinois.
Illinois. Okay. Just a man. Now, game that I saw him, he had a lot of cramping going on, so he had to sit out quite a bit. He multiple times had cramps.
Does he wreck an offense at times?
Yes, without a doubt. You know, and I saw him against Van Wert, and Van Wert doubled him every single play. And on punts, it was incredible he just mowed over people to get to it, you know. And it's like, I would have hated to have been the punter, but he can wreck an offense. Yep, got speed. He's got size, strength. See him in a basketball uniform. I mean, to me, a guy like that plays basketball effectively, that's an athlete.
Yeah, it's an athlete.
Yeah. Give me the Krim Reaper and the Bulldogs this week is what they call him down there in Elida.
I'm just going to say, if they didn't call him that, what a good name for him.
Yeah. Let's take our final break, come back, and talk about the GMC, MAC, the TAC, and around the rest of the area this week.
High school seniors, uncertain that college is right for you? Concerned about the cost of higher education? At the Gherkin Companies, we offer rewarding livelihoods even without a degree. That's a good living straight out of high school with no tuition debt. Starting pay between recent college grads and those with high school diplomas is closer than you might think. So if you enjoy teamwork, working outdoors, and being part of something meaningful, consider your options at gherkincompanies.com/careers.
Ashball Aerial is a fully licensed commercial drone company providing aerial media for commercial, industrial, and agricultural clients throughout Northwest Ohio. Want a different perspective for your events, construction projects, businesses, and more? Call 419-966-3202 or check them out at ashballaerial.com or look us up on Facebook. Welcome back to the Black Swamp Football Podcast presented by the Gherkin Companies. Let's move it to the Green Meadows Conference, a game that we will have on the Black Swamp Football Gamecast presented by the Sports Place at Wasion Ace this week as Tenora invades the reservation to play Fairview. Tenora comes in at 1-3, 1-0 in the GMC. Fairview perfect on the season. Tenora rallied a year ago, 35-34 after trailing 28-7 and have won the last 4 meetings. Fairview leads the series in the playoff era 27-24. Tenora has ran 218 plays for 1,324 yards, and opponents have ran 178 plays for 1,206 yards. Tenora is 76 of 127 passing for 945 yards. Foes are 31 for 54 passing, 467 yards. Tenora has 379 yards rushing on 91 attempts, while Foes have ran for 739 yards on 124 carries this season. Remember, they played Liberty Center there week 1, did the Rams. Owen Farrell, outstanding Tenora quarterback, 76 of 127, 945 yards, 10 touchdowns. He's got a nice stable of receivers. Josh Lee, 293 yards on 28 catches. Dylan Shively, 16 grabs, 260 yards, 5 touchdowns. Owen Reynolds, 15 catches, 257 yards, 4 TDs. And then Cooper Replogle, 37 rushes, 234 yards to lead the Rams. Over on the Fairview side, they have thrown for 1,206 yards, ran for 457. The Apaches have allowed 724 yards rushing, 433 through the air so far this season. William Zedike, senior quarterback at Fairview, 71 of 110, over 1,100 yards, 14 touchdowns, 36 rushes, 212 yards, 4 TDs. Logan Olinger, the standout receiver at Fairview, 424 yards, 6 TDs on 27 catches. Gavin Mead, 15 grabs, 265 yards, 3 touchdowns. And Gavin Garza has chipped in 11 catches, 126 yards for Fairview to lead the Apaches offensively. Tory and I not picking this one since we have the call. So, Jerry, you got the honor of having to pick this one. This one could be the toughest of the week, too.
Yeah. Well, I've got the Apaches. I think that when you've got a passing attack like that, I think in that conference, that's hard to defend. You know, a very talented receiver, very talented quarterback. And I think it'd be closer than, it'd be a close game, but I've got the Apaches.
Tenora last year, Jerry, you probably know, they started 0-3, just like this year. They play a tough schedule, like we talked about, Columbus Grove, Liberty Center, Otsego, Archbold, all three really quality teams. And then they rattled off 7 straight last year and lost a heartbreaker, 21-17, to Cary in the playoffs. Tenora has been licking their chops to finally get in conference after playing 2 NWAL teams and an NBC team, for crying out loud. They've got a great quarterback. Lynn mentioned Owen Farrell. He's just got it. Yeah. He's just got that it factor. He throws it real nice. He's got a couple nice receivers. But this is my favorite place to call it. One of my favorite places to call a game with Lynn is Fairview, because we get our own booth.
Oh, wow.
I mean, our own booth with door. I mean, we're shut in there. It's awesome.
Could be a lot of media there, though, this year. We might not be so fortunate, Coach.
Yeah, we are. We're going to be taken care of, I'm sure.
Scott Hyland will take care of us,
I think. But, with Paul Yunker, I'd just text him and say, hey, make this happen, and it would happen. But Coach Rakes, if he has anything to say about it, not that he's even worried about us, but if we're anywhere on his radar, he's going to make sure we're taken care of.
Oh, you think so?
There's no doubt in my mind. No doubt. They love us in Fairview.
And I do think this will be a close game. I just think Fairview is on a roll.
I'm excited. William Zedike. He is seasoned. I mean, he's been playing since he was a 9th grader at Fairview. And Lynn, the receiver you've talked about, it seems like every Saturday in Rise and Rewind, Shady.
Oh, Fritch?
Fritch.
Yeah.
I was talking to a Fairview person today who's going to go to the game Friday, and he said to me, keep an eye on Shady Fritch. Number one, he's a stud baseball player.
Yep.
And he said, this dude is dynamic. You're going to love watching him. So I'm excited to see young Mr. Fritch and Will Zedike. But Tenora, I'm telling you, they're going to have him strapped up.
Yeah, Owen Farrell's a surgeon, man.
Yo, he's good. He's good.
I can't make this one my lead pipe lock because you guys aren't picking it.
No, you can do that.
Oh, yeah, you
I'll
can.
do that.
This is your lead pipe lock, Fairview?
Yep.
Ooh, defend.
Wow.
They're playing the defending GMC champ, Jerry.
I know.
That's a good lead pipe
There's
lock.
something called graduation, too.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Wow.
Yeah.
Boy.
He's not afraid,
he's
is
not
he?
messing around with the lead pipe lock.
No.
We can't nullify that one.
Yeah.
No. When does this get released? Later tonight?
Yeah, Monday night.
Okay, so Coach, he'll be out of town before Eric Becker hears it. Because Coach Becker.
I'll wait. I'll give you some time.
Spending time in Defiance, a lot of Tenora people, Chuck Carey coached there, if you guys know Chuck. And, I mean, they're not coaching there anymore, but all good friends of mine from the tour.
Well, I think the friendship ends, though, when you pick against the Rambos, Jerry.
Not only pick against them,
but it's the lead pipe lock.
He lead pipe locked them.
Yeah. And BR, too. I rental that. He's a good friend. So.
Yeah.
But
you may need some new friends in Tenora. I don't know if you can find them,
Did
though.
I say past tense? And I had.
Wow.
We'll see. Now, if you're right, though, Jerry, then what can they say?
That's right.
They've got to respect it. So we're going to see.
They're going to love him in Fairview.
Yeah.
But we're going to have to deal with the Tenora fans on Friday night.
I know.
That's right.
Hey, Snodgrass.
Just mention
who invited him on the show?
I was a guest. I wasn't one of the regulars. Right. And you can easily say, he's not coming back. We won't.
We won't.
Well, we can't lump him in with Black Swamp, right?
Yeah.
You're right.
Right.
Yeah.
It's going to be a dandy.
It should be a good
tickled to call it.
Pre-game 6:30, kickoff at 7.
Hold on. I'm putting my phone on mute for Friday night.
I won't give any Tenora people your number.
Okay,
Jerry.
great.
I won't do that to you. Antwerp is at Hicksville this week. Antwerp running back Gage Clevenger, 294 yards rushing, 2 TDs on 59 carries this season. Antwerp averaging 342 yards, but they're giving up 317. What's going on, Coach Hale? Yeah. Giving up over 300 yards a game? It's going to be a long week for the Archers. Cross Zeedyke, Hicksville, get another win for the second straight year over Antwerp because they're not playing defense over there. You can take your offense to Hicksville, but if your defense isn't there, Archers, what are you going to expect?
Yeah,
you're going to take another L.
I love it. I struggled with this one. I went back and forth, and eventually I settled on the home team. And Coach Hale, I love you, big guy, but I'm going with Hicksville in this game.
Because they're not playing defense, or what's your reasoning?
No, I'm not even going to be.
Just not liking the way the Archers are playing?
I like how you brought it there. I don't have any confidence in them right now.
No, I agree.
I don't have any confidence in them right now.
I agree.
I'm going with the Aces, 1, because they're at home, and 2, because of defense. Defense wins championships. I really believe defense wins games. And right now, that's not showing on the Archer side.
Well said. Well said, Jerry.
We'll see how the Archers respond because they used to like us here at Black Swamp, and so they'll listen, and maybe Coach Hale will use this as. I
was just going to say, instead of being disliked, it's like I'm giving them motivation.
That's
So.
Yeah. We've played that card.
That's how they should use it then.
Yeah.
Right? But they lost a year ago to Hicksville and
still got to pack their defense, don't they?
Yep. I like the Aces to get another win here in 2025. Wayne Trace at Edgerton this week. The Bulldogs also 4-0, 1-0 in the GMC. Wayne Trace won 26-0 last year and 42-6 in 2023. Maybe Matt Holden and crew know how to slow down this Edgerton team.
Wayne Trace, we said about Ottawa Glandorf.
And they've held them to 7 or less in 3 of the last 4 meetings.
Yeah, and we said about Ottawa Glandorf and the WBL, they're gonna get somebody. Wayne Trace, they're not a doormat. Wayne Trace has some good athletes, and they're going to get somebody. And I just think it's going to be tough to do at Edgerton. Coach Flagel has those guys rolling. It may be close, but I'm going to go with Edgerton.
And I'm going with Wayne Trace in an upset.
I like it.
I do. I'm like you. They have good athletes.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know. It's almost like, did you say at the OG, kind of, they're going to win.
Yeah.
So this is a good time.
I like the pick, actually. I like that pick.
Yeah. Edgerton gets the win. Gets the win. They're going to figure out that Wayne Trace defense this season, I think.
We'll see.
Yeah. Ayersville, 0-4 at Paulding, who is 4-0 in the first month of the season. Paulding beat Ayersville for the first time in 4 tries a year ago, 47-15. Ayersville's first 6 opponents have been really, really good. Paulding hasn't played that kind of a schedule, but I don't think it matters. Colt Hunt, Blake Roanhouse, Avery Cooper, the Mans boys. Paulding gets the victory in this one.
Yeah, I too am going with Paulding at home. Ayersville, as we say often, their best defense will be their offense. Pound the football, keep it away from Paulding, get a turnover or two, and give yourself a chance in the fourth quarter? Can they do all that? I think they're capable. But I like Paulding here.
Yeah, they hung around with Fairview a week ago. Ayersville's first 6 opponents are 21-3.
Wow.
They got another week of good foes. Their last 4, though, are 3-13 so far.
Okay.
But, boy, first month and a half,
Oh.
murderer's row for the Pilots, and I think it stays that way.
Yeah, I like this Paulding program right now.
I like Paulding for a couple of reasons. One, yeah, they're on a roll. They're a nice team. I think for Ayersville, there's too many what ifs. And I think you're right. If all those what ifs lined up, yes, they could win. But I think also you get into, partway into the season, and I know people don't want to hear this, but, there are doubts there sometimes, like, can we win? Things have gone against us. I'm not saying they can't, but I think there are a lot of what ifs that have to line up. So I think, again, Paulding at home gets it.
Okay. And take Paulding, and so is Coach Strock. Let's move it down to the MAC this week, and there's a couple of dandies. Going to start with Anna, 3-1, same identical record as St. Henry. St. Henry's got the number 5 schedule in Division 7, according to Fantastic 50. Rockets have won the last 3, though, over St. Henry. Anna is led by Logan Ziegenbusch's 541 yards passing, 465 rushing. He has accounted for 14 touchdowns. St. Henry has ran for 799 yards, led by 546 and 7 TDs from Charlie Whirling. Ooh, good one here in the MAC, folks.
Yeah, I think this is such a toss-up to me. St. Henry had Marion Local on the ropes, led at halftime. But boy, Anna's win last week,
Yeah.
What a toss-up. Where's it at?
It's at St. Henry.
I've got St. Henry.
Yeah, is Anna still going to be up in the clouds after, knocking off Coldwater? I just have too much respect for where St. Henry's at as a program right now. And this would be a fun one to see. It's going to be physical, but give me St. Henry at home.
Yeah, I think St. Henry's got a little extra this season, and I think they pick up the victory in this one against the Rockets on Friday night. Parkway looking for their first win at Versailles this week. Versailles is 24-3 against Parkway, which hasn't beaten the Tigers since 2018, and I think it's going to stay that way for Tiger ball.
And Versailles is angry.
Yeah.
They're angry.
Yeah.
So, some teams, to me, they just they're going to bounce back. So I think Versailles.
Good point, Jerry.
Yeah, well said, Jerry. Like to see the Parkway Panthers. They've played good baseball there, Jerry, for a long time. Parkway has, and they've done some other things really well. Just football's been an uphill climb for them, and I think it'll get any easier Friday night. Give me Versailles.
Marion Local, 4-0, 2-0 in the MAC. At New Bremen, 4-0, 2-0. New Bremen owns the last win over Tim Goodwin's squad, 24-17 in the 2020 regional final after losing 21-13 in the regular season to the Flyers. But Marion Local hasn't lost since. Does the streak continue for Marion Local, or is this another St. Henry battle for the Flyers?
So you guys had one out, didn't you? I have too many close friends at both those schools.
You do?
Yes, very close.
Uh-oh.
Can I take an out on this one? Nope, I can't. That look was I can't take an out on that.
You can only take the out if you're broadcasting.
Okay. Boy, this is a tough one.
You want to let Tory pick first, and
no, because I don't want to go by anything he says. not that I don't trust him. I mean, though.
But you're even considering picking against Marion Local says a lot here.
Oh man, this is.
They're going for 69 in a row.
I know they are. No, they're going for one in a row. That's the one thing about Marion Local.
Yeah.
Oh,
they're going for one in a row, and that part of it is where's it at?
At New Bremen.
That's what I thought. I'm still going with Marion Local.
So Drew Pasteur, Fantastic 50, has Marion Local to win by 28.
Wow.
What did he have them winning against St. Henry by? If it still has it on there.
Marion Local, St. Henry?
Yeah, does it still have the...
Yeah, it'll still be on there. St. Henry, they had Marion Local by 30.
Okay.
Wow.
They had Marion Local by 30 against St. Henry. They won that 21-14. I still think in the Fantastic 50 Pick'ems, it's still, I know it's
a little skewed
week
from
5.
last year and
It's
years
a little,
before.
Yeah, and there's just still not that sample size yet.
Yep.
I'm going with Marion Local because how couldn't you? But I will be curious when we get our updates from your awesome wife, Sarah Lynn, how that game is playing out because St. Henry had them down a couple weeks ago, Jerry. We were over here covering the Liberty Center Otsego game, and we get the update. St. Henry's up 14-7.
Yeah. Yep.
Playing with them is different than beating them, though.
Yes, I agree. And that again, being up on them, you can't count them out. There's just a mystique there that somehow.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, I'm not going to pick against Marion Local. You just can't. Can you? You have to be a fool too, right?
If you do and you're correct, then you're ahead of the game.
Interesting fact, Marion Local was telling me here when I was down there a couple weeks ago. I actually spoke there, and they have a leadership class, which I really admire that they have for their students, and it's an elective. But they were telling me their next 3 classes, I believe it is, have only 30 boys in each of the classes. Now, I wanted to say to them, so they all play football.
28, 29 of them will play football.
I know other schools have 200, and only 20 play.
Yeah.
But they said then after that, they're building a new, I think it's an intermediate or middle school, I think. And they're building it because it's exploding in the younger grades.
Oh, yeah.
So when I look at that, so I think this senior class is one of them as the 30. But they're surviving that. When I say surviving, I mean, giving up a touchdown here and there. But still, I mean, that tells you a lot about that school and what they stand for. So you can walk the halls there. I have to admit, and I will say this too. It's true with many of the schools in the MAC. You can just go in the school and you can tell. I would have people all over the state of Ohio used to ask me, how do they do it there? Not just Marion Local, but the Coldwaters, the New Bremens, the Minsters, go right down the list. And well, you almost have to be there to see it, and I guess one of them is when you have the Coldwater Marion Local game and the winner's share of the 50-50 is $20-some thousand. That's how you do it. You have support.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I was just going to ask you, in all your years of dealing with the MAC, why is that region? And I've heard people tell me they've done studies, and it's the only place in the nation that has done what they do.
Yeah.
Is the MAC.
I just again, I say when you walk into a volleyball event, and for the most part, they're all solid families.
Are the parents behaving, Jerry?
I think so. I think they're. I'll say this a lot about Ottawa-Glandorf. I told somebody I think there's a lot of similarities.
Oh,
there.
I do too.
And you walk into Ottawa-Glandorf. When I go to a basketball game, I tell somebody, look at the crowd. Now, granted, you have your student section. The rest of it is all grandparents. Mm-hmm. And do they have a kid playing or a grandson? No, they go to support. I think that's what these are, such community-based events. And coupled with, they don't have ice hockey. A lot of them don't have soccer. They don't have all these other sports. So it is the focus of those communities. And I think that's really a cool thing that it just lends itself to great support.
Yeah, boy, whatever they're doing, it's working.
Yeah.
It's been effective.
It's a great model of how, and again, it's one of those, you kind of just have to be there to feel it, see what it is.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Also in the MAC this week, here's another good one. Minster is at Coldwater.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Coldwater's got to bounce back, and they don't have an easy one against a good Minster team.
Mm-mm. When's the last time Coldwater's lost 2 straight? You'd have to probably go back a long way.
Yeah.
I'm still stinging. Minster's 3-1, but they got tripped up against Afrocentric. I still haven't forgiven them. Give me the Cavaliers at home. Coldwater.
I've got Coldwater. You know, I go back to my cousin, John Reed, if you remember John. John's my cousin, passed away and kind of started that whole thing, you know. And I'll tell you real quick about a little story. I stopped at Coldwater here not too long ago, and I had talked to Chip Otten about this a year ago. I had this photo. Honestly, I probably stole it off the internet. I don't know where I got it. But it was the end of their game. I think it was in the playoffs against Fort Loramie or Fort Recovery. And at the end of the game, Coldwater wins, and there's the seniors lined up at the middle of long after the game was over, lined up at the middle of the field, and Coach Otten's walking off, and all the players, those seniors from Fort Recovery, are going like this to him, and, you know, Chip's waving to him. And again, to me, there was a million words in that photo. The respect that people have. And it has nothing to do with a pick on this one, but I just think there's so much respect there that it's hard to beat that respect.
Yeah, no doubt about it. You guys both have Coldwater?
Yep.
I just don't see Coldwater going to 2 and 3. That's my only reason why. I mean, I think Minster can win this game, but
Coldwater has a couple chinks in their armor,
they
Lynn.
do.
You might want to go with the Wildcats.
I'm not going to. I just can't see Chip Otten in this Cavalier program going to 2 and 3.
But I'm like you. I think Minster can beat anybody on that schedule.
Yeah, this is a pretty even
tough
game.
Pick.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Minster gets the win here, Coach Whiting and crew. But I'm gonna take Coldwater. That's the safe pick.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get crazy. Get crazy. Finishing out the MAC this week, Fort Recovery at Delphus St. John's. Delphus St. John's, toughest schedule in all of Division 7, according to Drew Pastors, and there's a reason why. And boy, it has been murderer's row. 15-1 are their foes so far. I didn't do the last 6 weeks, but it probably doesn't get much better for Delphus St. John's as the season progresses. This game is on Saturday. Wes Winnie doing a great job there at Fort Recovery. Played St. Henry tough into the second half a week ago. We have not seen the Indians do that here in the last couple of years, but they're playing everybody tough. They're winning some games, and they're making it hard on opponents. So I like Fort Recovery to roll into Delphus and get the win over the Blue Jays.
Yeah, the only reason the back half of their schedule's a little lighter is because Parkway's 0-4, so that kind of skews it. But still have a 3-1 Anna, 4-0 New Bremen, 3-1 St. Henry, Coldwater. So
do they have just Parkway's the only team under 500 on their schedule right now?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Oh. How many teams? 90% of their schedule is over 500.
Jeez, Pete.
Wow.
There's schools that have 1 or 2 teams over 500 on their schedule. So
I saw Delphus last year when they played Coldwater, and they got destroyed. Running clock by Coldwater, and Delphus St. John's got run ruled. They got running clock, run ruled, same thing.
Can call it that.
Yeah, but they turned around then and won and got in the playoffs, and I think they won a playoff game.
They won 3 playoff
That's right.
games.
I was going to say, yeah.
Got to the regional final against
it's very
Columbus
hard
Grove.
for me to go against them. But at the same time, I think you're right. Fort Recovery is just playing well. So
yeah, I think
I've got them.
Delphus St. John's has some injuries. Their roster's down in the 20s right now, which makes it tough. And boy, Wes Winning, I don't know their roster numbers, but they were in like the 20s or 30s a year ago. Now they're, I believe, above 50 at Fort Recovery. Whatever he's doing there at Fort Recovery, he's got kids excited to play football again.
You know what's interesting, and I'm going with Fort Recovery, but explain this one to me. This is at St. John's, right?
Yeah, yep, Saturday night.
Drew Pastor, Fantastic 50, has, make sure I'm looking at it right, because that's interesting to me, has Fort Recovery by 6.
Yeah, but I think, again, it's
Could it be
skewed
that close?
by past records.
Yeah. I mean, can St. John's play them within a touchdown?
I would say no.
Okay.
I would say no, but I don't. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
A little tradition in that program.
Right. Yeah. I think Fort Recovery rolls in that matchup. Maybe a Fort Recovery of last year wouldn't, but I think they're different this season and what Coach Winning has done there. Let's go to the TAC, guys. Hilltop is at Ottawa Hills. In the Village, Hilltop has not won over one game in a season since 2019. 3-47 since. They've been outscored 177-20 so far this season. 0-4 are the Cadets. 0-1 in the TAC. Ottawa Hills 2-2, 1-0 in the TAC. So give me the Green Bears in the safe pick here.
Yep, same here. I've got the Green Bears.
Coach Brandon Carter and the Green Bears in the Village. It's a tough combination. Give me Ottawa Hills.
Whiteford, Michigan, 2-1, 1-0 in the TAC so far. They go to North Central and Pioneer this week. First meeting between these two programs, and Coach Teakin and the Bobcats going to roll.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I agree. You know, I don't know much about Michigan football, but every highlight I see, it looks like it's a whole nother, you know, I mean, you don't see turfed fields. Now, what does that have to do with anything? It's just like, it's not a big deal in the high schools there. And I realize smaller schools, you know, probably don't, but it just seems, you know, Bedford, I see highlights of them. And it just, I don't know. It just seems like a different animal.
Well, Whiteford Stadium is back in the woods. Oh, it's a beautiful, beautiful facility.
Yeah, but it's, you talk about country.
Yeah.
Country. I mean, it's tucked back there, like Lynn said.
Yeah, and I just think everything in Ohio, it's life.
Yeah.
You know, and that's no disrespect meant to them. It just seems like it's so different there. When I watch some of their state playoff games, they're in facilities that are, you know, we wouldn't even consider playing.
You know, they play them at Ford Field up there.
Yeah, in the finals, yes.
The finals, yeah.
But not the rounds leading up to it.
No, right, yes.
Yeah, they just, I don't know, so I just don't feel like
Yeah, I think they have a dome up there in the UP that they have to play when you get in November up there in the UP. Geez, it's 30 below zero and snowing, and you got to play indoors up there at that point of the season. Also in the TAC, Eden 3-1, 1-0 in the conference at Erie Mason, who's 0-3 and 0-1. So give me the Bombers.
Yep.
Bomber ball continues to roll. They're just not playing anybody right now.
No, give me Eden as well.
How about this one? Montpelier 2-2 overall, 1-0 in the TAC at Summerfield, who is 2-1 and 0-1 in the TAC. This one's maybe a little bit of a coin flip.
It is a coin flip, absolutely.
Who do you got then, Coach?
I like Coach Andy Robinson to take his locomotives on the road and get the win. Give me Montpelier.
I've got Montpelier also. I like Montpelier.
I got Montpelier in that matchup as well. Come on, Coach Robinson. This is one you got to get.
I know it. Well, I'll tell you right now, if they don't, I don't care who they're playing going forward.
You're picking against
Darn
them?
right I am.
Really?
Yeah, I got to see it this week. 2-2.
All right.
Come on.
Laying down the law.
It's got to happen.
To Montpelier. Catholic High School League, Warren De La Salle from Michigan coming to Cherry Street to take on Coach Coach Dempsey. Boy, I was forgetting his name there for a second. My mind went blank. How can you forget that name, right? Central won 41-6 last year, 28-23 in 2023, which were the first meeting since 2014. Give me Central Catholic. They get another one.
They have to win. And, you know, you don't start out like they did and not get, you know, they've got players. And I know they do too in Michigan, but at that level, but I still have Central Catholic.
I know it's a little early to start looking maybe at the playoff standings, but it is week 5, and right now Central's not in the playoffs.
That's why I'm saying they have to win.
Yeah, they got to start stringing some together. Boy, you wouldn't think. I don't think they get us to week 7, and then we'll maybe start discussing the playoffs. But I would have a hard time following Central Catholic not being in the playoffs this season with that roster. Now, their schedule is brutal, and that's the reason why.
Yeah, I too will go with Central Catholic.
Move it to 8-man football this week, the Northern 8. I got to recuse myself again as commissioner of the league, so you guys will be picking these both on Saturday. Holgate is at Fremont St. Joseph. Central Catholic in a matchup of 8-man programs.
I hate picking against Henry County, but I've got to go with the Crimson Streaks of Fremont St. Joe.
And I do as well.
Okay.
I do as well.
Okay. Stryker is at Cardinal Stritch on Saturday in another 8-man game.
I'm going to let Jerry go first. This one to me is a tough one.
It is. I've got Stryker. And I only say that because they're trying to build back at Stritch. They're trying to build that back. They started out with the idea they were going to play 11-man this year and just didn't have the roster to do it. So But I just think Stryker's a little bit more, even though it's 8-man, I just think they're a little bit more established in it.
I wasn't sure who I was going to go with here, but I'm
You going to
just
follow Jerry's lead?
I'm not. I want to create a little dissension here. So I am going with Cardinal Stritch to get win number 1 on Saturday at home. Give me Stritch.
Okay. All right. Little dissension there on that pick. Non-conference games this week. Here's a good one. St. John's Jesuit, 2-2, playing St. Francis at the Glass Bowl. The Knights are 3-1. St. John's leads this series 32-20 in the playoff era.
I'm going to tell you this. I'll bet you St. John's is a little bit tired of hearing about the resurgence of St. Francis and Coach Josh Linke. So if I'm Joe Horn, I'm playing that card this week. Central Catholic and St. Francis aren't the only show in town. And so I'm going to go in there with a chip on my shoulder if I'm St. John's. I think they will. I think this is going to be a dandy, but Coach Linke and St. Francis get it done in the end.
All that build up, and then you pick against the Johnnies.
I'm trying to fire him up. Coach Horn's such a nice guy. Is he going to just get him fired up? He better. They're going to need to be. But Coach Linke, this is going to be a close one.
Close? How close?
St. John's is going to have a chance. They're going to have a chance.
I think you're 100% on that. I saw St. John's in a scrimmage, their last scrimmage of the season or preseason. And but boy, St. Francis, I don't want to overuse that, but the resurgence is there.
Yeah, it is there,
and they're loving it. So, and they're playing at UT if I'm not mistaken. I have St. Francis.
Okay, well, St. Francis can't drop another one if they want to see us week 9 at Central Catholic. They got to go perfect if they want us to broadcast that game. And I heard they weren't too pleased with me after I picked against them. Against Perkins, and they won. Robbie Myers and I were up there dropping off their Rock Solid Performance Awards last week, and Coach Cromwell, the Hall of Famer, state champion, Dick Cromwell,
sure, real well.
Of course, Jerry, and he said, "Ooh, these guys aren't too happy with you." And I was a little worried because I had to give a little speech. I'm Jermaine Polk and Eli Beal, those guys.
Yeah,
I don't want to make them mad, but.
No.
Well, I'll tell you, being in this seat right now, several games I've picked against people that I really like and really are good friends with, but I picked upon who I think is a better team.
That's what you got to do.
I'm covering for you.
There you go. I'm going to pick the Knights this week. I'm still riding with them. They have U of D Jesuit next week, Lumen Christi, Dearborn Divine Child, who is 3-0. That could be the one that trips them up.
Could be.
The Knights got to stay focused because they dropped one against Bishop Dwingers in week 2. They lost to Bishop Dwingers, so no room for a letdown,
no.
Coach Linke and crew.
Coach Horn.
But I'm a little worried about Joe Horn. I'm a little worried about him this week because I think the Johnnies could get him.
He knows this could be the springboard. And I think it's going to be close. I really do. 24-21, 21-17-ish.
I think you could be right.
Well, anytime the parochials in Toledo play each other, it has the potential to be a very, very
well, let's
game.
be honest, too. There's kids that have a decision to make.
Correct.
And I'm not going to use the word, but they're hoping to get some of the same kids to attend their institutions, and if you can show well on Friday night, you might sway a kid.
Yeah, and they can do that. I mean, that's perfectly allowed. And
I think there's some extra eyes on this matchup this season than in recent years.
Yeah,
this one has a little bit bigger feel to it.
I would agree with
kind of the older St. John's and St. Francis
when both of them
games.
were down, you're right. It's resurged.
But when they were both pretty good programs.
Correct.
There were some battles.
Yes, there were.
Yeah. There were some battles back in the day in this match. And I think it will be this week.
You had Dick Cromwell and Fred Beyer.
Yeah.
And my old high school principal, his whole family went to St. Francis, okay? He chose St. John's because he was playing CYO football, okay? And Fred Beyer talked to him after his CYO football game. And he was a young junior high kid at the time, and he went home and told his dad, he goes, I want to go to St. John's. Yep. And his dad said, we are a St. Francis family. And he said, I want to play for Coach Byer. So he went to St. John's. So, there's power in the coaches there.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah, this rivalry will break apart families.
Yeah.
In a way.
Well, I think that's the other thing they're trying to do is there's been some turnover in coaching there at both of those, and I think they're trying to establish
stability
to get that, the Fred Byer type again.
Yeah.
Keep that tradition.
Yeah, a couple of younger guys and Coach Lynn and Coach Horn that definitely will appeal to the kids in the Toledo area, that's for sure. And they're both playing really well. And it seems like Joe Horn has St. John's on a better track through the first month of the season.
I want to see what Drew Pasteur has to say about that.
I'm going to say St. Francis by 14. That's what he's going to have. Yep.
Okay.
Let's see.
I was just hoping I didn't have to go to the. Let me get to the.
That'd be my odds for this one.
God dang it! To the wrong division, big guy. There we go. St. Francis. Here we go. St. Francis to win by 8.
Oh, 8?
Yeah.
What percent does Drew Pasteur?
69%.
Okay.
To win by 8.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Drew Pasteur is usually right on with his predictions. Also non-conference this week. Toledo Christian 1-3 is at Ridgemont, who is 3-1. Ridgemont suffered its first loss to Elgin last week by 1 point, 30-29. Toledo Christian got their first win in their return to 11-man a week ago.
What's Ridgemont's nickname, Lynn?
I have no idea.
Jerry,
Golden Gophers.
That's right, buddy. Yep. That's right. But their colors aren't the same as Minnesota's.
No. What are their colors?
Green and gold.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. Well, geez, you think you're going to stump this guy?
No, that's why I didn't ask him. I knew he'd know.
I don't know.
That's an interesting place, though, Ridgemont. I mean, in sports, they're like this.
Yes, they are.
They're like this. They'll go through times where they've lost in different sports tons in a row, and then all of a sudden they're good.
I know.
Back in the day, they had a family. I think their last name was Wetzel, and there was like a Wetzel every year for a decade. And they were great players, and they were really good. Then they were gone, and they were just bottom.
Oh yeah, that's what I remember.
To me, that's a toss-up. I mean, Ridgemont, Toledo Christian, a lot of different demographic there. A ton of different, and it's at Ridgemont. I've got Ridgemont.
Smart man, Jerry. Give me the Ridgemont Golden Gophers.
I'm going to take the Golden Gophers too then.
Yeah, just
I'm sold. I wasn't quite sure I was going to go with that pick.
Oh, to me, you go there, it's a tough area, tough people.
Yeah.
And again, just a little demographic difference there.
Yeah.
Also non-conference this week, Clay battles the City League. They are hosting Bowser this week, but Clay is going to bounce back after that loss to Napoleon last week. I shouldn't pick Clay the rest of the season after they lost that game to my lead pipe lock, but he didn't tell me George Eggers was playing, so I didn't have all the info.
I didn't know if he would.
I'm blaming it on him, that loss. Or I would have another game. I'd have another game if I knew George was playing last week. Is George playing this week?
I don't know. We didn't have school today.
Why didn't you have school?
We had professional development day.
Well, you got to be banging on doors. You got to be making phone calls. This is info we need.
When kids walk into my 5th period principles of coaching class, that's when they give me the injury report for the week.
Now I don't know who I'm picking in that Napoleon Northview game coming up here in a little bit.
Yeah, I think you know. I, too, like Clay, no doubt.
I like Clay talent-wise, and to bounce back from what happened last week. I think, especially, I did not realize that the 2 pick sixes.
Yeah.
Because Clay's got talent. Clay has talent.
Yeah, they do.
And so I've got Clay.
Yep, I'm going to take Clay. And I want to take a final break, come back and talk about the NLL this week and see if Coach Strock has the Napoleon scoop for us. The fall sports season is here, and the Sports Place at Wauseon Ace has you covered. Stop in for all your football, volleyball, soccer, and golf practice gear and accessories. Did you know that the Sports Place at Wauseon Ace can create custom t-shirts while you wait? We can and we will come in with an idea and walk out with that perfect t-shirt of your own creation from the Sports Place at Wassee on Ace. We also offer custom embroidery. Whether it's a shirt, jacket, or other item, the Sports Place can fill your embroidery needs. Stop in and see us at 1495 North Shoup Avenue in Wassee.
High school seniors, uncertain that college is right for you? Concerned about the cost of higher education? At the Gherkin Companies, we offer rewarding livelihoods even without a degree. That's a good living straight out of high school with no tuition debt. Starting pay between recent college grads and those with high school diplomas is closer than you might think. So if you enjoy teamwork, working outdoors, and being part of something meaningful, consider your options at gherkincompanies.com/careers.
Welcome back to the Black Swamp Football Podcast presented by the Gherkin Company. He's going to finish up Week 5 with the NLL crossover games this week. The Buckeye Division, in the last 3 years since the NLL went to 2 divisions, is 32-15 against the Cardinal. Who do you think are the 3 teams that have never lost to a Cardinal Division team, Coach Strock? Not a real hard one to figure out.
Perrysburg, Anthony Wayne, and Whitmer.
You are correct. In 2023, the Buckeye was 12-5 against the Cardinal, won by an average of 24.3 points. 2024, the Buckeye was 10-7, won by an average of 29 points, though. In 2025, the Buckeye is 10-3 and won by an average of 31 points. And Findlay has lost once in those 3 years, too, and then those other 3 you mentioned have never lost. Huh. It's been pretty dominant here from the Buckeye here the first 3 years of the new look.
Following that conference quite a bit, living in Findlay, I don't know how to prove this, but it just seems like that division is getting bigger. Between those in the Buckeye and those in the Cardinal, it seems like those games are kind of blowouts.
Well, Jerry, you're on to something because you said I don't know how you prove it. The last couple of weeks on our Saturday morning show, I said to Lynn, I said, the gap shouldn't be that big every time there's a crossover game. It just shouldn't be. Right. You know what I mean? Fremont Ross shouldn't lose by 30 to someone. Now, a lot of those wins Lynn talked about that the Cardinal Division have gotten, it all depends on who you're crossing over against.
True.
So I'd venture to say Napoleon has a bunch of those wins for the Cardinal Division because they're crossing over against Northview,
right,
who's struggled mightily. Springfield has struggled mightily. And so if you're crossing over against the bottom tier of that Buckeye, you're going to win.
Yeah.
But the bigger schools in the Cardinal have to play the bigger schools in the Buckeye. But I said this past Saturday, I don't have a whole lot of sympathy because a lot of these schools are Division II schools,
right?
So you're a D2 and you got to play another D2 or a D1. You know what?
Or a small D1. I mean,
right.
Findlay is a very small D1.
Right.
I mean, people find that hard to believe, but it is. And I'm like you. I have a hard time.
Well, Liberty Center's JV went to Findlay and won.
Yeah.
Or maybe they played here. I don't know, but I know they won.
You're
right.
This year, did they?
Yeah.
Did they? I didn't know
last
that.
week, maybe?
Just last week.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
So Liberty Center's doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just giving you info to partake.
Yeah, you're right, Jerry. There's a big divide there right now.
Yeah, and I see those top ones in the Buckeye. You see the Whitmer, getting better and better.
Yeah.
Perrysburg is just, I thought they'd be down.
Yeah.
I graduated a lot of great kids, and they're rolling.
Yeah, they are rolling.
Played Olentangy tough. Had a chance to win.
Yep.
So yeah, that's interesting that. And Liberty Benton goes into that conference, I think.
Yep. Next year. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next year.
That'll be interesting.
Well, good for the conference, though, that they don't have LB this year.
Yeah, that's right.
I think Liberty Benton would win that division this year.
You think Liberty Benton would win the Cardinal this year?
I do. I really do because of their lines. Of their lines. I do. I think Liberty Benton
would they have a chance against some of the big boys in the Buckeye?
They'd beat Northview. They could beat Findlay. That's no disrespect. That's a pat on LB's back. Right. They would. I think Liberty Benton and Anthony Wayne would be a good football game. I really do. They'd play Whitmer tougher than you think they would. They're a complete team. I think they would.
Let's get into our NLL crossover picks this week, guys. Perrysburg is at Southview. Perrysburg has won the last 13 against the Cougars, and all of those by multiple scores except one. They've dominated this game.
Make it 14. I mean, they're just a machine running over those schools. So
yeah, this would be an upset if Southview could get it done. And Perrysburg's got a chip on their shoulder, and part of that, Jerry, you said it a minute ago. They lost some studs to graduation, and I think, they were kind of under the radar a little bit. Like Anthony Wayne, a lot of talk about them, Whitmer, and Perrysburg's had a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. They get the win at Southview.
Yeah, I got Perrysburg in that matchup as well. Whitmer is at Springfield. Whitmer has beaten Springfield 48-12, 41-0, and 49-16 in the last three meetings. Don't see anything changing this time around. Give me the Panthers to pick up the win.
I can't pick against Coach Keller, but I think there's no doubt they're going to win. Coach Keller and his family. A lot of people probably don't know this. His wife is a Roethlisberger, so know him well, and I love what he's doing. He's been an assistant there before, so taking over at a tough time too. How good they were, and his son was a quarterback, so he knows that type of game very, very well. So, and they're on a nice roll too.
Yep, I agree. Give me Whitmer.
Bowling Green at Anthony Wayne. BG 1-3. AW is 3-1. The Generals have won their last 4 against the Bobcats. I think they do it again.
Ouch.
Yeah, I do too. I don't know. I hate to see Bowling Green. Their enrollment and everything else, it fits, but they just can't establish. It's odd, but last time they were really good was with Coach Connor, who's at Perrysburg.
Oh, yeah, he did a great job there.
Very good job. And, he was their athletic director and football coach, did a great job, a ton of respect for him.
Yep, he's a great football coach. Give me Anthony Wayne as well.
Yep, I'm going to take the Generals in that matchup. 2 more here to go. Napoleon is at Northview. Northview won this game 2 years ago, 17-14. Napoleon plays 4 teams with 1 win and 2 with 2-2 marks the final 6 weeks. Their schedule for Napoleon to round out the final month and a half, not too tough.
Nope. There's only one game that I think would even be in question. That would be Fremont Ross. Otherwise, it sets up beautifully for them. They're going to cruise this week, and they're going to roll at Northview.
Yeah, they're going to win at Northview. Northview's really struggling with numbers, big-time numbers. I think, could be wrong, but I think they might have canceled their freshman game. I don't know why, but with Perrysburg or whatever it is, I know they've canceled a game. So, yeah, big-time numbers.
I'm gonna take Napoleon. I don't need to know the George Eggers injury status this week.
Honestly, it might be a good week to give him a little bit of rest.
Oh.
Honestly.
Yeah. Looking at Napoleon's schedule, how long do you set him out till the Ross game?
No, I don't think so. But I'd be calculated how much I use him when I use him, but yeah, I mean they're again.
Napoleon's got a good chance to be 8-2 with their remaining schedule, or 7-3 maybe at worst, as we're looking at it right now, and being a pretty good seed in the Division 4 playoffs. Speaking of Findlay, they're 3-1. They're at Fremont Ross. Findlay has won the last 6 against the Little Giants. Can Fremont Ross buck that trend?
Jerry,
that's a big rival. That is Findlay's longtime rival in football, and goes back to the Buckeye Conference, then the Buckeye Central Conference, the Great Lakes League for a while, and now here. I still think the score last week surprised me a little bit with Perrysburg and Fremont, but given that, I'm taking Findlay. Findlay's playing well right now.
Go ahead, Lynn.
I got Findlay.
Do you? It's funny, Jerry, because you said I was going to say Cliff Height always told me there's no one he hated more than Fremont Ross. And Fremont Ross hasn't fared well in these crossovers because they play the big boys.
Right.
they're going to get it done at Don Paul Stadium Friday night. Chad Long and the Little Giants knock off the Findlay Trojans. Mark it down.
And you know why I understand that completely? Chad Long is a great coach.
He's a tough son of a gun.
And Fremont kids notoriously are tough son of a gun.
Yes, they are.
So I can see why you say that. And he's just, that's why last week surprised me so much.
Yeah, I agree.
Maybe he's been talking to Chad Long and knows something. Now I'm a little worried. Never know what he's doing.
I share a lot with Lynn, but never everything, Jerry.
Yeah. I work in Fremont. So I get a lot of insights.
Yeah.
Well, you may not want to be tied to this crew. That guy over there this week, Jerry.
See, I have to pick Fremont Ross occasionally because if anybody's ever after me and I need somebody to have my back, I want Chad Long and his brother Ray Long to have my back. So I try to keep them within an arm's reach. So I'm going to take them. But I'm taking them because I truly think they can get it done.
When you need somebody to cover your back, I should have thought about that in my previous job.
Well, if you see these guys this week, say happy birthday to Tory on Tuesday. That would be September 16th. And Jerry, you got one coming up this week. Sunday? September, what is that?
21st.
21st. Well, happy birthday to you both.
Thank you.
Thank
Hope
you.
you have a great birthday week, and hopefully our loyal fans will give you guys both happy birthday wishes this week.
Thank you, Lynn.
Yep, thanks.
30 for both of you, right?
Yep, 35.
35. Oh, 35. Sorry, 30 and 35.
He's got me by a couple years. I'm 30 for me.
I thought he was going to say I've got him but doubled.
Jerry, thank you, my friend, for coming up today and joining us.
Thank you, guys.
We appreciate it.
I said this before. You guys do a wonderful job, and I love the way that you support, even though we picked against some of these guys, but no, what you do every single week, you support high school kids, and what a great thing to do. What a great thing.
Thank you. We appreciate that. That means a lot from you. Thank you very much, Jerry.
Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you.
We love you and appreciate you.
Yeah, we sure do. Yep, sure love you, and thank you for all that you have done for high school sports.
I appreciate that.
in
I
Ohio.
always felt like, and you know this from the coaching angle, I always felt like every single day in my career, I was giving back to my high school coaches. It's just something about, without them, Lord only knows what I would have been doing. I mean, I wasn't the greatest kid growing up. A split family time and time again, and it's like, but somehow or another, maybe it was because I was 6'3" when I was in 8th grade. I don't know, but stayed 6'3" too. But I felt like that. So you guys know.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jerry. We appreciate it. Thank you to all of our sponsors. Thank you to all of you that tune in each week. We greatly appreciate you following us. We're looking forward to week 5. Our football show presented by KK Collision this week. Stay tuned for that on our YouTube channel. That will feature Mark Emmons, former Wauseon and Lake coach. He won the 1993 state championship with Wauseon with a unique crew over there in Fulton County. We had them on our football show presented by KK Collision last week, and Corey Griggs and Tyson Langander for just a pair of guys that were part of that team, and we'll ask Coach Emmons from Florida when he joins us on video for the KK Collision show for that. Friday night, we will be at Fairview, Tenora, and the Apaches in a big GMC matchup. Saturday morning, Rise and Rewind presented by the Swanton Welding Company. Are we going at 8 this week, Coach?
Please, if we can, 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock, and then next week we'll have the big one between Patrick Henry and Liberty Center here at Rex Lindgren Stadium, and our podcast back on Monday next week, and our football show the following week. The first one in October will be on a Wednesday. I think that's October 3rd or maybe 4th. I don't have the dates right in front of me here, but it's a Wednesday instead of a Monday. So don't send me a text or an email. Where's the podcast at? Well, it'll be out on Wednesday, folks, in a couple weeks.
I don't care if you said that or not. That's going to happen. You are going to be getting questions because people don't listen.
Yeah, well, maybe.
Some people don't
Maybe they
listen.
just tuned us out.
They could have.
But have a great week, everybody. Have a safe and healthy Friday, Saturday night this week, too. Boy, far too many injuries this season. We want to see our student athletes stay healthy. But have a great week, and thank you to the great Jerry Snodgrass from joining us. Have a great week.